It's always tough. Like, I don't do anything over the weekend, and then I get right back at it. So today we'll be sucking a little bit of wind, and then we'll get back at it over the next little while. But hey, what a great day. Well, hopefully Obi and I can celebrate an AMD push-up, and then we'll see if that can hold out. But thank you so much to everybody for watching. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe. It's our Midday Madness show with these two gentlemen beside us, back now, Sharif. So we're really happy to have him back. I know he was off there yesterday. So Joe, Sharif, your midday crew is back, joined by Adara, of course, and all of us are back at 2 p.m. So until then, ciao for now.
Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That very calm individual is your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. And where are all my people at in the chat? Let's go. Sharif Slip, what up, fam? We got Juan Padilla, we got Ryan O'Day, we got Gen AI Apps. Shout out to B-Town 918. Are you from Brampton? Because I know that to be B-Town. We got Gotham House. Why not? Why not? Ben Effrick. What? Who is this? Can't say your name. FME, Dangerous. We got Wake, something or another. Yummy, Thai Foods. Shout out to Mark Zemes, as well as Thomas D. Risk. We got Jay Haas, ATX, and Brandon. Oh, man, you guys are making it hard for me today. Shout out to 420 Blood Monster, Kenya, Flowers. We got Evan, Superhero, Alton, 1830. Shout out to Nobody, 2310. Now we're seeing some new names, baby. Trendline Tycoon. Bravo there. Love the name. We got Lifty Bands, 7619. I would have liked it if it was 6919 better. Big Sky, 69. Shout out to my man, Fat Figure. We all know him. Wyatt, something or another. Sorry, brother, I butchered your name there. Christopher Pond. One more, Joey. We got Grand Opera. Shout out to everybody and good morning on this very interesting Tuesday morning. Joseph, the market's a little bit up, it's a little bit down. Now it's kind of looking a little flat here.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. There's no questioning that. And let's kind of just break down real quick what's going on. I was talking with my guy Jag in the chat. Yeah, we don't gotta. Oops, what did I just do there now?
What happened?
Oh my days!
Embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. I didn't even know you could do that, my friend. All right, let's put that back where it belongs there, and bang, and there. Yeah.
Do that.
Did you know you could do that?
Hold on, we need to figure this out. Oh yeah, there. I see
there you go. I don't know whatever that one's for.
Okay.
All right, so Tesla. You know we had a monster trade on that one yesterday, and then we're just looking for the continuation in strength today, and we're not getting any of it. So we start here, nice curl over pattern, looking for the break of the high of the day, and you get somewhat of a move higher, and then boom, as soon as it comes south of the volume weighted average price, we hop out, and then I start relatively small right there, and then I'm not even adding it in it until it starts to work, and then sure enough, lower end of the range, I'm like, all right, that's enough of that one. So 0 for deuce on that TSLL trade, looking for the continuation from yesterday, and then my guy Ethereum, we were just ready to go gung-ho right here, but unfortunately it did not work either, so that's unfortunate. 0 for 5 on the day, but hey, we got plenty of risk throughout the session, and I think we have the ability to bounce back, but we just got to find ourselves that right ticker and get in that right trade. Other than that, guys, 0 for on the session.
All right, man, here's the deal. Here's what we're looking at. Small cap gap or world, HKPD. We'll get to that one in a second. 0 for 1 on that. We took a quick beak wetter, but it did lose the volume weighted average price, and it's also below that $2 area. So even though this is the baddest looking one right now, and by bad I mean like Michael Jackson bad, in the market right now, it's kind of off the highs. So HKPD will be in focus, but there are others, and you see this one here, UP, it's up. And I don't really want to be dropping lame puns, but this one is up and up higher than $3. In fact, $3.09 is the high of the day, having traded about 25% above yesterday's close, which is $2.39. So it's not exactly the biggest mover on the day, but as you can see, very much holding higher highs and higher lows. So strong is up that it even hasn't glanced at the 10 EMA since that 10-10 candle on the 5-minute. I'm talking about UP. We're going to keep tabs on that. There's also LWLG. This one did dip. below the volume weighted average price momentarily. I don't really feel like I have a right read on this other than to say it's holding prior area low. If we were to use this 1005 5-minute candle as the area low into about 290, then we're looking at another high of 304 after that. So not really holding technical areas or psychological areas being the $3 area, but maybe we'll have a different trade on that one. KOPN, not a big percentage mover, 12 1/3, but also got a great chart pattern. It does get spurts of volume, so you can see these outline candles here have about 300,000-400,000 shares each, but it's not exactly the biggest volume mover on the day, but the spread is reasonable, about a penny right now. I'm talking about KOPN. You have another one, ALLR. I misspoke when I said that HKPD was the most high on the day. These ones are trading blows. ALLR was just above 100%, but as you can see, it is losing VWAP. Now, what I want to keep my eye on, does it hold prior area low? I'm talking about that area trough that we printed around 1005, 1010. The area low there is in fact the day low, the technical day low at $1.75, because all this price action over here, that's all pre-market, baby. This outlying candle, the volume candle on the bottom, that's where we opened. So this candle right here, so everything after this price action is officially traded or official prices. So I want to see if this one holds VWAP. If it doesn't hold VWAP, then I'm looking for it to hold prior trough low. If it doesn't do that, it likely ends up in a double top and it's probably going back to the depths of hell from which it came. AEVA, another one. This one's not even up double digits, 7 2/3, but very respectful is AEVA of the 10 EMA on the 5, with having trouble though holding above 15. It's above it right now at 15.10. Let's see how this one trades. And then one that Mitch has been mentioning, I think for months, if not weeks now, Quadruple U. This is not a small cap gapper, but trading like one today. I'm going to see if this one catches a bid off that 12 2/3 area. That is VWAP, but it also happens to be the top end of the prior bull flag range. So that 1260 area was the breakout area from this initial bull flag that we started manifesting right at the open at 930. So Quadruple U in focus, but by no means do I want to dismiss HKPD because it lost the volume weighted average price momentarily, right? It can easily regain above that, and therefore will be back in play. Last but not least here, Joseph, is OPEN. This won't surprise anybody. This one was going yesterday, then all hell broke loose at around midday, at around 1 o'clock there. This thing sold off so aggressively from the top to the bottom. We lost 25% of our market cap, the price yesterday, and we're kind of an inside day today. We've held yesterday's lows. We're above that 4 1/3, but we're certainly below, well below that 5 high mid 80s quadruple top, triple top that we put in yesterday on open. So those are the 8 that I'm watching. If there are any others, I'd love to hear about them, as it's hard for me to always keep my eye on the scanner. I see SATS, but this one is below the pre-market high at 57. It's also quite expensive at around $53, so I'm much less inclined to want to trade that. Let's keep it with the reasonably priced stocks that we can size into there, Joey Options.
Absolutely. Jamie, está aquí. Yeah. He's here. Está aquí. Tesla, Ethereum, and AMD is starting to pull back in. Those were my 3 top lists this morning. So yeah, it's unfortunate that they actually, I don't even really care. I told Adam to lose. Yeah, so what? It's like it's one red day. We don't cry over spilled milk, regardless. What is the thing when you spill the salt? You got to throw it over your shoulder. I don't know why I brought that up, but anyways, there it is. Ethereum starting to climb higher. What is this all-time high on this one? We're not too far off it at $37, we'll call it. It's about $36.80. But we have multiple inside days, guys, that you can see that we're starting to experience. So I want to know if we can break through these specific levels. And if we do, it's off to the races. All right, so Joey Ops, what's up? I like that one, Joey Ops. What's up, brother? I'm holding on to ETHA, 35 calls at 58. Cost basis up big today. Looking to see your thoughts on holding another day versus taking the profits today. Well, my friend, Party P, I need to know when it expires, because if you bought further duration, then hold on to it, because I personally love this trade. Again, you got to manage your own account. I know a couple people in this room who really like this trade. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm one of them. So yeah, I just need to know that expiration, and if you bought multiple months out, why not just hold it on? Why not hold on to it? And I like what you got going on the 35 strike price. But the thing is, though, I'm sorry, did the IV pick up throughout this candle right here? Maybe not, because it was considering it was a upside move, which volatility usually tends to cool down. But I mean, with Jackson Hole on Friday, boom, and I didn't see that across the board, so congratulations to that. Tesla finally breaking the downtrend. Do we get involved in this name one more time? I think so. And I was saying to my guy in there, I'm like, yeah, you gotta Rivian Millionaire. I'm like, yeah, I just gotta take the swings, regardless of what's cooking or what's not. It's either it's gonna work or it's not. And I just looking to put probability in my favor, obviously. And if I see something, I have to take it, because I'd rather sit there. It's like what Sharif and I say. I'd rather go to the gym than sit at home and feel like, oh, I wish I went to the gym. It's the exact same thing here. I'd rather take the trade than being like, oh, why didn't I take that trade? Dang. So yeah, Tesla, I'm glad that it's speaking for me currently, because it's breaking down, not holding that trend. So maybe we'll just avoid that. Considering I'm going to blame Obi on this one. He's like, this morning, yeah, it's all Obi's fault. At the end of the day, he's like, this morning it's holding up relatively strong. The market was selling. Tesla wasn't doing too much. And then it started ripping. And Tesla wasn't doing anything, so I'm like, Obi, bro, what do you, come on, EPA, as my Portuguese used to say, EPA, Joe, EPA. No, I'm obviously being sarcastic. He has no control over anything. But I was just laughing at that, because I thought that once the market started to participate, that Tesla would as well too. Yeah. Wait, I know when you got this face. I know.
You know me so well, eh?
I know.
Damn, bro. I can't even. I gotta get some new tricks now. Like I'm like an open book.
Hey.
All right. No, I was gonna tell you couldn't speak Spanish and Mandarin, but you know, it's kind of past the point now.
I couldn't speak Spanish and
you can't speak Spanish. I was gonna tell you, Joseph, you can't speak Spanish. I was gonna say that in Mandarin.
To say it then.
Yeah.
Come on.
Nibu sho siben yayu.
All right.
Nibu sho siben yayu. Yo, bro, you try saying that, man. You have any idea how hard
it is to pronounce that? Spanish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo no hablo español.
Oh, but you can't. Can you say I can't speak Mandarin?
No. Well, yeah, I can say. Well, actually, I don't know how to say Mandarin.
That's fair.
I said I can't speak Spanish.
Bro, let me tell you. Siben Yahoo took me forever. It took forever to lock in. I don't know why. I learned a bunch of different names for languages in Mandarin, but Siben Yahoo was just it was a tough one there. So yeah, anyway, Mandarin is difficult. Yes, it is. Ni bu shou zhongwen. Someone just told me I can't speak Spain. What's it called? Chinese. Ni bu. I don't think that says show, but the last part there is zhongwen. I know that for a fact. So, thank you. I keep trying my best. I will continue to get a little bit better, guys. We're doing it live on Up. We punched in at the day's highs. We've scalped up all the way into 15. We've got one beak wetter here at 16 that still has not printed. I've got an order here, a resting order to DCA and defend that $3 area. What I liked about this entry into the highs was it kept holding prior bar low. So even though it was an explosion to the high side, you kept seeing, little inklings here and there that the buyers were overwhelming sellers at each successive 5-minute candle. So that's what I'm looking at right now. It's a 315 high. We're going to see if we can get some more on this one, Joey Options. We're going to Adara.
Hey guys, keep an eye on, this isn't really going to be market moving, but it is worth noting here. Reuters reporting that Klarna, the Swedish fintech company, is apparently restarting its plans for a U.S. IPO. They previously shelved them, but they're planning on doing this IPO next month. They're going to be valued between $13 billion and $14 billion. So keep an eye here on Klarna. Reuters reporting again that the company is going to be likely doing its IPO next month. So September IPO on watch here for Klarna. Back to you.
Yeah, guys, I can read too. I can read, I can write, and I can obviously speak.
How hard is it to write that stuff?
It's wicked. It's called Hunzi, right? Hunzi, or however you want to say it. And there's a method to the madness of it. So once you know what a particular symbol generally means, you can kind of try to get the gist of the word. So each symbol appears in different places depending on what you want to say. Like guo, for example, G-U-O. You'll almost always see that at the end of the name of a country. Like Hangguo, which is Korea or America. America, Megwol, right? Or China, which is Zhongguo, right? So you're always going to see that particular word, that symbol there, so you can get an idea of what it's trying to say, right? I'm just giving you a very basic example, but yeah, love it.
Hangshu, you can't say that, man.
What happened?
You just said something. You can't say that.
I mean, I don't care.
No, you didn't say anything about you. You didn't say anything about you.
Jana Da. Yes, someone just wrote Jana Da in the chat there. There we go. Jamie's Pennies. Get it, man. Love it. I love it. I love seeing it, man. You guys are really good with that. What's the beak wetter in Chinese? I got no idea, man. Don't put me on the spot, but I'll find out for you. And you can't have these literal translations. You can't wet your beak in another language. It probably means something sexual. And we're going to get in trouble there, Joey Options. You never want to do that. Yes, guys, so just still holding on. We got the ad, quick as you like, on my friend up. So let's go ahead and set up some beak wetters now north of 6, and I'm going to throw them into the mid-teens. So we did get that 3 defend, but it by no means we're out of the clear, right? Because we're punching in at highs. We've got clearly some topping tail candles that we have to contend with here, with the sellers getting very frisky in and around that $3 area. So this, we've talked about this before, where we have that specific area of support usually can lead to a flat bottom break. Usually, though, the flat bottom break is preceded by lower highs. So be on the lookout for aggressively lower highs or pattern of lower highs. And then typically, what we get after that is a bit of a sell before it corrects, maybe back to the high side. Who knows? I also want to mention VERI. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't have eyes on that. Where the hell is it? Okay, I don't have it up. That's quadruple U. We'll take off HKPD. We'll put VERI because this one's looking good as well. So 291 high. It's in and around the day's high as we speak right now. It doesn't have too much in the way of volume, guys. A $3-ish name. It's only printed 3.6 million shares on the day, but that's the bad news. The good news is it's still putting in higher highs and higher lows, and it's had one measly touch of the 10 EMA and the 5, and that was at 10:40 a.m. Prior to that, it had been all gas, absolute no break. So maybe putting something at the 10 EMA just won't cut it with this one because it seems to be dodging that, Jody. So that's my look right now, keeping my eye on up, quadruple U, and VERI.
VERI, yeah, he was just talking about that there, but let's pull up our good friend Palantir. I think that this name is prone for a bounce, considering that it was down 25% off of this peak, and then obviously to this current trough right here. But now it's starting to bounce. But this is what I was referring to earlier. This is such a beautiful setup for a swing trade. Isolated volume signature, and then you have this island pivot as well too. So absolutely fantastic stuff. I don't know if it's going to double top and sell. It's completely moving against the market right now. So I would just suspect that the continuation strength is going to be there. So for me personally, this is what I was looking for in swings, and that's an A+ swing, but instead I decided to grab a couple NVDA shares for tomorrow's earnings report. If that works out well, I'll just sell it for a pop and then look to get involved in some Palantir for a potential bounce, because I really like this name from a swing standpoint. Tesla breaking downtrend. Do we get into it? Do we get involved one more time? One more time. Considering us preaching to Rivian, I essentially almost have to, because it has broke this downtrend, but it keeps getting defended. Actually, let me also point this out as well too, because we were talking about this yesterday, and it's at that 350 strike price. We have some substantial open interest there, and you can see that we ran right into about 349.13 and then rejected that. So maybe that's coming into play. I don't want to say hopefully, because I want to go long this name. So let's pull this up here and then we'll just take a look to see if that size has grown. And that's when I was like, I got to start really small with this underlying, because if that call wall is going to come into effect, it's not going to break through. But you have that slim chance. So you're telling me there's a chance, a 1 in a million chance. You're telling me there's a chance that it can break and then we squeeze. That would be absolutely beautiful. But here it goes, taking a word from Obi there, absolutely beautiful. But 350, 37,700 contracts at that specific strike price. That is substantially larger than anything else that we are seeing here. And then that is why we cannot break through that 350 level. So maybe this consolidation phase is going to be long enough, because we know usually the longer the consolidation, the larger the move. So maybe we're just absorbing a bunch of liquidity in order to break through that specific level with vigor. If not, we just might reject, and then it might be a sell-off day for Tesla shoe.
The Ribe Show. We don't actually listen to Daft Punk. I don't think I've ever sat down beside Joseph and listened to music before the show. We're just insane, and we have these songs in our head that we have to kind of just release there midday on the show. Otherwise, we go nuts, Joey Options. So I'm kidding. Obviously, we're digressing here. I'm looking at UP, guys. Got a quick beak wetter there on up as it works its way back into 3. It's currently got a higher low, but it's not exactly rocketing up. So, yeah, we'll just set up another one here for 6 and see if we can get it. But I want to keep my eye on AIFF as well. Shout out to my other pair of eyes, Bovin. Bovin bringing this one to my attention. I think Adara brought this one to us earlier in the day, but, you know, I don't really trade until I sit down, so I didn't really make note of that. But here's what I'm waiting for AIFF, if you're wondering what the hell I'm waiting for. Well, look at that. Double top at 370 in the pre-market at 8 o'clock and 7:50. Those are when the double tops manifested on the 5-minute chart. And then look at that implied balance high right at 950, goes all the way to 363. That is the technical high of the day. But that displeases me greatly because I will not trade these until and if they have cleared the pre-market high. So Bovin, I'm putting my alert there for 360 to kind of front run the price at 370. I'll be keeping my eye on it, obviously, regardless. But that's what I'm looking at right now. I also want to bring to your attention KOPN at the high of the day, up 13 in the 5th. And AEVA. This one continues to give you an opportunity. Again, it's more expensive of a name, 15 and change, 15.20, but it's got a hell of a bull flag here that it's putting on. And the bottom end of the bull flag, number 1, has higher lows. Area trough. In addition, it's holding generally the 10 EMA on the 5. So you kind of get the feeling, even though the volume, a little sus on this one, I'm talking about AEVA, the chart pattern speaking some volumes right now, no pun intended there. So we're going to keep tabs on that. As I just saw, up broke down momentarily below $3. So we did get our DCA there that we had at 95s. Anything below 88s, which is below the 10 EMA, it's all over for this trade. So we'll scalp out some here, but we're still holding some, having averaged into this one. So let's see what this one has to offer, and we'll try to trade it accordingly. It's still above the 10 EMA on the 5. That's what I'm looking for it to hold that level. But it's the VERI show. Every time I look at this thing, it's a little bit higher, a couple of shekels higher every time. 292 high a day right now, Joey. Good look right now for VERI.
Absolutely, yeah. And there we go. We broke downtrend here on Tesla. You can see the volume on the lower time frame was starting to pick up. So we need to see this accelerate even more and be substantially larger. Yes, let's go.
Get it, Joey.
Okay, I got to make this as big as possible, to be honest with you. And I'm going to be adding at some bad times. So I got to wait for these down ticks. Let's follow the tape here, guys. Stick with me. Follow the tape. And then if we can get a flush of red, I'm going to add that right on those, right below the bid here, and then maybe we can get a move. So there's a little bit, we're continuously selling. Any flush at the bid, I'm going to add so I can potentially get in on the uptick higher. If it wants to roll without me, that's fine. Then we'll just add into that momentum. But one thing that we need to know, we need this move to be sustained and the volume to support it. And if we don't get it, so yeah, there it goes, another flush to the downside. I mean, to the top side there. We're not getting those downside flushes that we're looking for, and we're going to break it here momentarily.
Oh.
If it continues to hit this, the ask continues to continue. Oh, there it is. Oh my days, right at the top. Horrible ad on your boys bar. Three bar play, but that is a sign of strength, and we like this. So if the volume continues to accelerate, I'll add a little bit more in between, considering my average is now at 32s. So that will give me some time to rock and roll. But we have broken the downtrend. We're adding to this position. Still not large enough as how I would like it to be, considering the consolidation phase was long, and I want to go for a move towards that high of the day. So boom, boom, boom. There we go. Thank you. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So that's some pretty good stuff. That's actually a bad on my behalf, considering I should have thought that, hey, we're going to 3-bar this and get in on this lower end. Instead, I'm buying at the top of the range, but that's okay. I think I like our chances for the continuation and strength here, especially if the Qs want to participate. Maybe this consolidation phase was long enough for us to break that 350, Sharif.
All right. Bovin telling me about NUKK. NUKK, Nucleus Incorporated, halted to the upside. Let's take a gander at our friend Nucleus. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. This is the daily. Look at this, Bovin. This is a former convict for sure. Look at these outsized days with huge topping tails. and almost no bodies. I have a sick joke I could say right now. I'm absolutely not going to say it though.
About
Joey,
bodies?
you got me in a lot.
About bodies?
Yeah, no bodies.
Yeah.
No, play. 521 halt level right now, guys. Keep your eye on NUKK. I haven't really looked at it a little bit more. I'm just looking to see what the reason we're halted is. Here it is. Press release, Nucleus launches defense subsidiary and secures exclusive U.S. distribution agreement with Blade Ranger to capitalize on booming drone payload market. Tell me more, Adira.
Nucleus is certainly one that's rallied in the past. I think it's actually been traded on this midday. But I have some news here about the Fed situation, just to let you guys know. Apparently now, Fed's Lisa Cook's lawyer is saying that they actually plan to submit a lawsuit against the dismissal. So they're basically trying to challenge Trump's decision to fire Fed's Cook. Again, the issue of for cause is a bit difficult because the Federal Reserve does not specify in their rules what cause entails. I also want to let you guys know, on a similar path here, Donald Trump is set to host a cabinet meeting at the White House. That was initially set to start at 11. Now I'm seeing 11:30. So when I get any coverage on that or once the feed starts, I'll certainly let you guys know, and I will be watching that. Back to you.
Yeah, that should work out for her real good there.
Yeah, it's not going to work out at all.
I'm anticipating she's going to win that lawsuit hands down.
Yeah.
Girl.
So way to just throw some money away. I remember. Sorry, it's kind of like digressing here, but my accounting professor at Humber, he gave us an example. Anyways, he asked one of the students. He's like, "Yeah, give me a $20 bill." Okay. So the student handed him the $20 bill, and he goes like this. Ripped it. He throws it in the garbage. And he goes, "That's what's paying interest. That's what's like paying interest on credit cards. Don't ever do that." He obviously gave him a $20 bill back. But I'm like, that was a pretty expensive example right there. But yeah, ever since then, that just stuck in my head.
Can I ask you a personal question that you can choose to answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you get into credit card debt in your 20s?
Never. I
did.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. I've never.
I spent like years paying that back.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
early
Yeah.
20s, bro.
I never ever got into any credit card debt. I actually run a negative balance on my credit card.
Smart.
Yeah.
Why? Do they pay you interest for extra money?
Just for me, because it's always like everything. I pay everything with my credit card to see. That's the thing. What people don't understand, right? Is see that's the thing. It's like I tell everybody, pay everything with your credit card to have the points.
But pay that off at the end of the month.
Exactly. But make sure you're paying it, and it's just not the minimum balance. So what I try to do is I try to run a negative balance on my credit card, so that I never have to actually worry about putting on it. That's not always the case, but as much as I can.
Yeah, but you're not getting any money. They're holding on to that money interest free, bro. They're not giving you any money when you pay extra.
No. But it's essentially just me looking ahead for my bills,
That's
right?
fair.
So
I get
and then
that.
I know, right? It's like, hey, if I'm gonna go and buy something at the grocery store, whatever it may be, I have some oil. I have to do an oil change like that. Boom, it's like that. We got it on the card.
Respect that.
It's now I credit my credit card, and then sure enough, we just ride the points. And hey, Air Canada. Where are you? I want my 20,000 points back.
Bro, get in line.
Yeah, I am in line. I paced my claim. So if you're listening,
Can I make a joke?
Yeah.
So the Transportation Safety Authority is supposed to be the governing body for people that are making the claims. Yeah. They have an 85,000 person backlog. Air Canada's backlogged for everyone getting paid back. The regulator that you make complaints to is backlogged to 85,000 people. Good for no. Obviously, I know you're going to get your money back, but you're going to have to wait a hot minute, Joseph Options. You know what I mean? Like,
brother, they owe me $400. I want my flight from Chicago to Detroit back. I want my train ride back because that was hectic. I was on the most chaotic cart you could have been on that Via Rail chart. And then also I want my points back. And then I'm going to look for some more points, actually. Because
all right, hold on. Let me just tell these people.
Man.
NUKK is halted up again. Bovin, I think you may have found something here, Bovin. 521 halt. We were halted for 10 minutes. That was a 10-minute deep halt, okay? Which usually means a bit more selling coming in. Not so. Look where we gap up. From 520, we open at 604. All hell is breaking loose to the high side here on NUKK. It's up now 34%. Shout out to you, Bovin. I just don't want this one to be the one that just keeps halting to no end and ends up being really hard to get into and get out of, obviously, and then ends up almost having no volume because it can't stay open. I don't know if it ends up doing that, but I've seen it before. NUKK, here's the deal. We're going to load it up on a trading screen now so we can get a gander of when this bad boy, I don't want to change open because I'm going to get into open, when this bad boy halted so we can expect the opening. 11 27.09. You will add 5 minutes onto that, so earliest it can open 11:32.09. But as we saw with the last halt, it was 10 minutes deep, it wasn't 5. They come in waves of 5. If you're a newer trader and you haven't been or seen a volatility halt before, it's when the stock moves more than 10% in a couple of minutes, up or down, it's halted for volatility. They typically halt it for 5 minutes. That's not a hard and fast rule. As I said, it can be in waves of 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. Okay? So let's keep an eye here on that, and we'll pack our patience and see what we get there. VERI is coming into the 10 EMA on the 5, and that's going to get me in. We're going to get a below par bar low. I'm going to give it to 77s, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Dara, what do you got for us?
I have a crypto segment, so we're going to talk here about crypto and a catalyst here in the crypto space involving DJT, or Trump Media and Technology Group. So this company announcing this morning that alongside Yorkville Acquisition Corp and Crypto.com, they've entered into a definitive agreement here to establish Trump Media Group CRO strategy. That's going to be a digital asset treasury company, and they're going to be focusing on acquiring Kronos native cryptocurrency, which is CRO. Apparently, their goal here is to get 19% of the total Crow market cap. That'll be $1 billion in Crow tokens. That's just from funding. They're also looking here for $200 million in cash funding and $220 million in mandatory exercise warrants, plus a $5 billion equity line of credit from Yorkville's affiliates. So lots here to look at with regards to this DJT crypto deal. Now let's actually talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, a little bit of a bottoming tail candle right now, but we are, if we close right here today, we're going to be on a 4-day losing streak for BTC. That being said, we're not too far removed from all-time highs. Ethereum, though, looking maybe a bit better than Bitcoin here. We're still in that uptrend from these recent lows, especially with that bottoming tail candle we formed in June of 2025. And we're even seeing a higher low from this pullback from all-time highs. So Ethereum may be poised to go a little bit higher. Let's take a look at XRP, one that we haven't looked at in a while. XRP consolidating a little bit, slightly higher lows, but more noticeable lower highs. And let's take a look at Solana as well. Solana, again, looking pretty similar to here to Ethereum, not near all-time highs, mind you, but continued higher highs and maybe even a bit of a flat, or sorry, higher lows and maybe even a bit of a flat top here for Solana. So lots of crypto to look at. As always, a lot of these crypto-related tickers also very much on watch with that recent push to the upside we just got. Back to you.
Let's look at Sunrun for the individual in the chat that wanted me to look at Sunrun. I think it's top VOIP. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting who asked, but this is Sunrun. And as we've seen, solar stocks have been quite volatile lately. It really depends on what day of the week we are. Anyway, Sunrun up 2.5% today, and most of my solar stock watch list is green, for the exception of FSLR, which is down 1/3%, so essentially flat. Here's what I see on Sunrun, 1690 top. The last time we tried to get into that 1690, we double topped at 86. So that means, to me, sellers are a bit more aggressive than they were on the last time, selling at or shorting or taking profits or whatever on at a lower basis. But that's a 5-minute chart. Let's go to the 15 or the 30, just get a gander of what trend we've been doing. So we were consolidating in and around $10. That all ended in early August when we got a couple headlines, squeezed up to 12, sold back off, held 10, and then there's the huge explosion there on the 15th, the middle of the month, where we got from 10 to essentially the price we're at right now, 16 and change. So Sunrun up 2 2/3. It's not an explosive mover, but it's another day continuation of higher highs and higher lows on Sunrun. So not a bad look. I'd be looking for that seller to get taken off on 1686, but I don't know if Sunrun is as much a day trading stock as it is a swing trading stock lately anyway, given how this one's been acting. Here's the 4-hour. So you can kind of get an idea. Basically from June onwards, it's been a symphony of higher highs and higher lows. Since those June lows, I'm talking about mid-June to now, we're up 200 and some odd %. So that's not a bad look there for Sunrun. That's a good move. But be on the lookout here for retracements on the day, because we'll see. I can get involved in this, but I want to take out that seller there. Joey, what do you got, my man?
I got nothing good, brother. Oh, I got to get out of this. Yeah. We're on the brink of ending our day here real quick as the live trading. Don't have a winner on for today's session. Just gotta chill. It happens. Chill. We're calm and cool, collective. You gotta take the swings. There it goes. Adios, Tesla. You hot piece of garbage. Yeah, I will tell him how I feel. There it is, boom. That's why you got to get out when you're supposed to.
Crazy.
Get a winner. Hey, man, you can't have him all the day. There it is, AC Slater. Man, what a move down. Good thing you get out. That's why you got to get out when you're supposed to.
Oh.
If I held on to what I just did, considering it's like add one more time, I would have been done for the day. There's no questioning that. Instead, I got a chip in a chair, guys. And with me, a chip in a chair, it's dangerous. It's like a cornered lion or a cornered bear or something along those lines, right, Sharif? So so that's what we got going on. Other than that, man, I'm just gonna be posting up, chilling. And waiting for something prime to show. It may not be my day, and it's looking like it so far. I don't love what the market is doing, so I could care less if I take another trade throughout the session. But if something I say that all the time, but if something kind of catches my eye, then I'll obviously hop in, and then we'll try to make it as big as we possibly can. All
right, man. TR, I'm being told to look at here. Tootsie Roll. I love this. MJGX911. Love this. Sharif, can you please look at TR coming into October, Halloween months, please? And in my head, I'm like, what? What? Like, are we selling turkeys? I'm thinking Thanksgiving. That's why. But I forgot the other holiday, man. It's not really a holiday. It is Halloween. Do you say Halloween or Halloween?
I think I say Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah, same with me, but that's not how everybody says it. Right? It's Halloween. Yeah. Especially my sister now. Tomato, she likes to pretend she's American. Yeah. Right? And then she's got, the California accent.
Stop.
Oh, bro, it's so funny. And I just call her out on every one.
They kind of like slur the longer end of the word. It's
look, my niece and my nephew, all right, you're going to school. My sister's lived a ton of years in Canada. Stop pretending you have. Stop. I gotta let her know every time I FaceTime her, right?
All right.
But here it is, TR, guys, higher highs and higher lows. This is a nice little breakout. We're obviously still below the November 2022, January 2023 highs, but we're not far away, man. I mean like $3 away. Let's just do a little TA here. Let's go to the weekly and see what kind of levels we're looking at. So historically high levels back in early 23, late 22, but we're getting close to that. This looks like one hell of a rounded bottom there. Shout out to MJGX911 because I didn't have eyes on this, and this is a good support level here too in the mid-20s, and you incrementally put in higher lows. Look, it's not rocketing up, but this weekly chart looks quite good for the exception of this outlying week over here back in late July. Subsequent to that, each week has had higher lows and higher highs. I don't dislike this at all, and seeing that you're almost like a few bucks off that all-time high. It looks like that is the all-time high. This goes back to 2009. But, yeah, not an area I know too much about, obviously. Candies is definitely, you guys can sympathize with that. I don't eat too many candies. So I don't know too much about it, nor do I dive into the stocks fundamentals to know too much about that. But we're going to continue to look here at UP. I just wet the beak there at 3. There's good support at the 10 EMA, but I'm concerned that this one might be losing the bid incrementally, so I'm on the lookout here. I won't be dollar cost averaging into VWAP. If it loses 88s, that's the end of the trade. I've also got VERI. We're a couple of pennies out of the money on this one with no beak wetters, but we do have a resting order to DCA, to dollar cost average, ahead of what I perceive to be the top end of the bull flag at 275. I put my order a little bit higher than that level to see kind of what comes of it. So that's all I've got on. I see AEVA doing its thing, 25, and I also see, what's this one called? OPEN dropping right back down into the volume weighted average price after reclaiming it, but it does put in a lower high. And what is notable to me here on open is that it can't seem to hold above that $5 area. And it couldn't do it either. It got to 528, dropped back down into 4 and change, tried to get above 5. Look at these topping tail candles above 5. No closing prints above 5. Drops more. Drops down to 4 3/4. Gets back above 5 again. Only one measly closing print above that $5 area. That's not what you want to see. I want to see a clean hold above $5, and then we can have a conversation. Otherwise, we're just still dealing with those short sellers or profit takers around that area, Joey.
Ooh, all right, guys, let's take a look at the top performing sectors. Am I reading? Oh, okay. I thought that was saying something else. I thought that was saying 20% in the week. No, that's not the case. All right, that was a year. So in the year, the Qs are up. So, guys, first place, up 0.5%. Industrial, second place. We have the healthcare sector. XLV is going to be that one. Up about a third there, and then we have the technology sector up 0.25%. Now the bottom three, the communications down about 0.6, and then we have the consumer staples closer to 0.7, and then the energy sector down almost a point, guys, 9.96%. So there it is. And man, yeah, Ether was going on a nice run, guys, but then continuously just sold off. So that's not too good of a look here. Ran into this resistance zone, boom, flushed right back into the volume weighted average price. And my guy Rusty, I forget the other half of your name, anyways. But he's like, yeah,
get it, Rusty.
Yeah, get it, Rusty. Ethereum's going to have a hard time moving higher if Bitcoin doesn't want to participate, and I agree with that. I mean, there's obviously somewhat of a correlation. Havana Woody was talking to me about it. It's starting to diverge, in my opinion, as you can see that Ethereum is continuously trading higher for most sessions and stronger rebounds. But we've broke through some key support levels here on Bitcoin, that's IBIT, and now heading towards this neck of the woods, which is not good. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of scared that we might break this 56 level, and that would put us like in the sub triple digits, so in the 90s, which I don't necessarily want to see. But by all means, I think that'll be a great opportunity to grab more. But I'm also curious to think, do you guys believe that some traders are rotating out of Bitcoin and into some of these names like Ethereum? Because considering now with what's going on with Wall Street, Project Crypto, all the acts being passed, and most definitely JPM, Sri brought this up as well, JPM putting their stablecoin on the Ethereum blockchain, and a lot of these stablecoins, tokens, whatever you want to call them, are going onto the Ethereum network. So would individual traders want to rotate out of Bitcoin where there's no specific yield and run into an asset like Ethereum where there could be some positive price appreciation, but yet you can stake your tokens and make somewhat of some passive income as well too? Here's to what you guys think.
Yeah, man. And your friend Tom Lee there was on the compound, so you know I gave that a thorough listen.
Yeah.
And he's got a bit of a bias, and this is Tom Lee's bias. It's not mine, but I respect the hell out of the man. He thinks a lot of these, larger financial institutions, we're talking about the Goldmans, the Schwabs, the JP Morgans, Cities. He's like, these could actually be growth stocks if they successfully move their operations onto the blockchain, because the cost of operating drops substantially. So if your margins, I'm just throwing any numbers out there, let's just say on a product was 7% as a result of the operating costs, you're looking at 15, 20% margins now. So we may see fundamental disruption in financial services, but not to the exclusive benefit of the decentralized finance, which has been the argument so far. You may actually see it in traditional finance. Go and have a listen to his little statement there, or better yet, do more research on what he said. But here's NUKK. NUKK is open. NUKK is nuking to the high side, baby. There we go. This is up 67% in a matter of minutes, guys. It's got an 8.25 seller with a $9 high. Shout out to my man Bovin. But we know how these ones act. Here we go, Bovin. We are going to hold down 743. Shout out to my man there in the chat who's got this at 6, and he wanted some insight. You're still $1.43 in the money, my man, and we're going to hold down if we trade at this level for a few more seconds, waiting for that gray out to come in, and there is the gray out. Alas, though, let's look at this level, okay? We're still, even though we're halted down on NUKK, we're still above the prior bar low, believe it or not. So this green candle has a low of 734. We're halted at 743. So you never really want to be caught in a down halt, obviously, especially one with a topping tail looking like that. But the point is, you're still holding trend. I'm going to be interested to see, do we fill this gap? The gap I'm talking about here, essentially from prior bar low at 7 1/3 to the prior halt area at 6 2/3. So let's wait here. NUKK has been a 5-minute halt the last couple of times. It was the first time that ended up being that 10-minute banger, right? Which I really hate. Anyway, let's look right now to see where we halted out. Where, as I mentioned, 743. The theoretical auction price, the top just moved up from 18s. Wow, look at that jettison up. Now up to 877, 850. It's moving crazy. It's doing crazy things right down to 750 again, Joey. So keep your eye. If you have the data, and I'm talking about that theoretical auction price, which basically pairs buy and sell orders during the halt, and then if there's an imbalance one way or another, a buy imbalance or a sell imbalance, you'll see that reflected on the top. So for example, if you're halted at 743 and you're seeing a top below that, that means there's an imbalance of sell orders. And the exact same is true to the opposite side. If you're seeing a price above 743, that means there's an imbalance to the buy side. Let's see what this one does. Adara.
Yeah, just keep an eye here on BA. We're getting some comments here in an interview from an administrator with the FAA, or the Federal Aviation Authority. This individual apparently saying that Boeing has not requested to increase their 737 MAX production rate. Now, initially, it looks like traders responded negatively to this. It bounced pretty quickly, but either way, BA on watch. According to an FAA administrator in an interview, Boeing actually has not requested to increase that 737 MAX production rate. Back to you.
Yeah, so let's go over a couple of things. Let's take a look at some names on the options trade. We're going to pull up actually Ethereum and Bitcoin, because I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat being, hey, Joe, yeah, I like Ethereum, but make sure you want to do your own you want to make your own decisions. I have both of them via the ETFs, obviously. So yeah, I wouldn't say rotate completely out of Bitcoin and then put it all in Ethereum. That's just not sound advice whatsoever, nor am I giving you it. You got to obviously manage something that is your own account, and you got to press your own buttons, do your own due diligence, etc. All right, $36. This is ETHA, guys. $36. That's going to put us at that previous all-time high, roughly, right around that neck of the woods. 32,300 contracts at that specific strike. And then now, if we climb a little bit higher, 38. At that 38 strike, we got 34,100 contracts. Let's take a look at something. Yeah, for real, yeah. Yeah.
WTA Pro, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
No way.
WTA Pro.
It's not weak yet. She looks like needs to cut down a little bit.
Cut down?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You think?
That's crazy.
Ah.
You got to take another look.
All right. Yeah, send it. Let me see it one more time. All right. 40 strike price, 28,900. Excuse me. We need this to be lifted, and then I think we'll have the opportunity to climb into that next level, and that's going to be $38, and that most definitely put Ether at a new all-time high, probably around $5,200, $5,300. As for the put, we got nothing substantial. Someone asked me earlier, why are the puts always expensive? Puts are always more expensive than calls. Just keep that in mind. At the money, IV is through the roof right now, 84.6%, which is slightly hefty. Then let's take a look at IBIT now, considering this has massive influence on the overall market. What was our high of the day? $63. But then you can note that we have a concentration north of 63. So at 65, 66, and 67, we have about 96,000 current open contracts. And if we want to go a couple strikes higher, we're starting to build up some more size. So there is some brick walls on that one there on Bitcoin. We need those to lift. Keep an eye out for next week's expiration cycle. Maybe some of those will cool off.
All right, Joey. We show the good and the bad. We got stopped out, sadly, of UPP. We did take some out there into the highs, but full disclosure, we're going to be negatory on this name. Up, loses a 10 EMA. It is on the way down. Likely, probably going to find some support there at the high 70s, low 80s, where the volume weighted average price is. I don't know if I'm going to be a buyer quick as you like at around that level. It's not what it used to be with VWAP with these ones, especially when you lose the 10 EMA. That's what I'm going to be watching intently if up finds some support at VWAP. Is it using the 10 EMA now as resistance after having used it as support to no end? So that's going to be my look up. We're going to go 0 for 1 on upstairs, but maybe we'll do a little bit better. And going to be gunning for that. So, new position, we weaseled into open. Where'd I get? I got 98, scalped up into 5, looking for that next 502 area. It seems to be holding generally that 10 EMA on the 5 look. It's got it selling at 505. Let's see if the higher lows are operative here and what it ends up being. So, OPEN not big on the day, up 9.8%. I'm going to give this one a try. VWAP is my line in the sand there. Shout out to John Del Segno. Smiley face on Regeneron. Looks really bullish. And on a catalyst. Say less, my man. Let's have a look at Regeneron. Oops. My mistake, RGN. There we go. So this, you're talking about a smiley face. Not one that I typically look at, obviously, but let's do a 15 here. Are you talking about this smiley face here, John? With that 572 hold, looks like they're certainly selling here in the high 70s, looking like it's destined for 580s. Maybe if it continues to squeeze, I'm thinking 585 to take out Fridays, to retest Friday's low. That's what I'm thinking. Otherwise, you know, John, I don't really look at these anymore all that much unless I'm doing TA for myself in the personal. But yeah, I see what you're saying. There's that incremental sell-off yesterday from basically the open, and here we are kind of putting in higher lows for a possible smiley face. I can get behind that. If it does end up breaking through 580, John, I'm looking at 585 as Friday's area low, as possible first area of resistance. But let me know how it goes, brother. Hope you print up multiple storms on there on your side. Yeah, smiley face on the day. Oh, he says smiley face on the day. All right, we're going to go back into the daily. Let's have a look. Yeah. I mean, you're still kind of putting in lower highs, though, John. I mean, like, I need to see stuff like above 750, and I know that's ways away, and we're also well below that 200 EMA, which is at 650. That's almost $100 away there. Wow, that's an ugly-looking chart on Regeneron. What the hell? This thing lost 60%, Joey, from the September highs to the June lows. Man, healthcare got shellacked.
Yeah,
shellacked.
Slacking.
Yeah, man, maybe this is a good entry on these.
Good
bro.
vibe. You're gonna rotate into some.
Like your boy Nimble there with his zillion dollar.
Yeah.
You know,
Pull up
UNH
there. What's that?
What is it doing, that piece of crap, UNH? Let's find out. All right, this is the daily, by the way, on UNH. All right, it's got some selling. Oh, it's hugging the 50.
Here? Can we
We're hugging the 50, Joey. Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah. What are we at? 307.
307. Yeah. Well, it looks like we're hugging the 50 there. How many days are we just gonna trend sideways? Is that bull flag?
Yeah.
You calling that a bull flag?
Yeah, I think so. I think it breaks. There's a gap too. This doesn't show gaps, does it?
Of course it does. I just got to remove pre-market actions. Say less, my guy.
Yeah, because then if
there you go.
Yeah, see, there it is, right? Like bang, bang. Yeah. I remember looking at this chart. No, even up here. Yeah,
where?
see, there's
Right
a gap.
there?
Yeah. No, this one right here. So we might enter this gap right here. I think on that next break. So that's something I would be looking into. There's no question.
I totally agree with that. The gap fill. But I think if we get that gap fill, Joey, we're probably going to have a magnetic pull into that 200 EMA, which is the blue line.
For sure.
It has a way of weaseling into the 200 EMA for whatever reason. Yeah, look, healthcare has been shellacked this year for obvious reasons. Baby boomers are old AF, and they're costing the system a lot of money. Obviously, inflation doesn't help with that at all, as things cost a lot more. And then in addition to that, you've got very, very aggressive government spending cut initiative, which doesn't help the healthcare industry as well, Medicaid, Medicare. So yeah, I can definitely see the headwinds and the explanation, but at what point is all that priced in, and at what point do we start trending back up again? Because you got to believe it, we're all going to need healthcare and spades too, Joey. So that's what we're looking at there.
Absolutely, man.
What do you got?
So I'm having a conversation in the chat here with Cryptod. Cryptod, all right, yeah, we like this one. So he bought some calls, some CRM calls on August 18th, the 260 strike price. So again, if we go to today's, the at the money IV relatively low, so you're not paying out the wazoo for that. That's positive. You did buy a little bit of time, 52 days. We caught a downgrade on Salesforce today, so just keep that in mind. But let's head back to this week's expiration cycle just to see where the at the money's at. So it's roughly around, I wish it told me that with the actual, okay, so 243.50. That's the thing, right? So for me personally, it sounds like you know what you're doing, but there's certain times when you're buying something so out of the money, I think that's when you want to buy more time, in my opinion, because considering you're buying something so far out of the money, we've done this experiment with Sharif's CoreWeave puts. So essentially what has to happen now is that those have no... Yeah, it sucks, man. We messed it. Yeah, we messed that one up. But anyways, it's all fun and games at the end of the day. So essentially what needs to happen is the only value of those contracts is extrinsic. So essentially it's only time value. And as you get closer to expiration, I mean, you're almost a couple weeks into owning these contracts and you've seen very little price appreciation and you got about 15 points to go until you're even at the money. So even so, if you're just at the money, you're only holding time value within those contracts, you need it to exceed. So if say it takes another 2 weeks in order for it to get to 260, now you only have about a month until those contracts expire. And we know as you're getting closer to the expiration, guess what starts to kick up and ramp up? That's going to be theta. And then day by day that you are only extrinsically valuable is when the decay of those contracts will start to accelerate, and then you're going to have a really bad time. So instead of your underlying asset needing to move to, say, 265 for you to become extrinsically and intrinsically valuable, you need it to trade up to around 270, 275, etc. So obviously I wish nothing but the best for you, but just understand, and I'm sure you do, it sounds like you know what you're talking about, it's just always buy more time when you're going further out the money. For me personally, that's the leap territory, and I'm curious to Pug Life, Havana Woody, and all my other fellow options traders, if you're doing something like that, are you going 6 months? Are you going leaps, or are you going shorter duration? For me, it's always longer duration.
All right, man, nonsense. No nonsense. Why? You didn't have to send two, man. I was literally just going to get to the first one right now because you tagged me and said you missed my super chat. I'm so sorry about that. You know how it is on the floor here. Everything's up and crazy. So he dropped two super chats, one for 5 and then the other one for 10, my man. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. Reads as follows. Sharif, thank you for NUKK. I had 2,000 shares, just over 6. Was able to get out after the second halt for just over $3,500 in profit. Thank you so much. Thank you, my man, for the super chat and for joining us today. I'm very pleased that you're printing, obviously, because, well, if you guys don't do well, you're likely not to watch the show. So I'm always super pleased as punch that all our viewers do well on the trade. So very happy for you, and I hope we print up multiple more storms there, and just keep it keep it super tight on these small cap gappers. Because God, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. They're around for a good time, not a long time, and you see what they do over here with this nuclear thing going absolutely buck wild. Here it is, NUKK. This is the one that our friend No Nonsense made 35 hundos on. Where's that cash right there? There we go.
Cash, man.
Here we got, Joey. We're halted at 817, but true to form, the theoretical auction price already showing you 865. So the buyers are buying up a storm here in NUKK. So let's figure out what we're going to do here. Now, there's a number of different ways that I can approach this. I can put something called a limit on open order or a market on open order. It just basically tells the exchange as soon as this thing starts trading, a limit on open will be like, pay up to this amount. Market will be like, pay up to whatever, just get me in. Neither of which I find to be very good for risk management. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to gauge when this one opens. So this one will be at least a 10-minute halt. How do I know that? Because we halted at 11:48.40. It is 11:57 right now and change. Let me give you the exact time, 11:57, 18, 19. So we've got another minute or so, minute 20 seconds until this one is the earliest it can open. So I'm going to be involved now likely with NUKK, but I don't want to catch this one offside. Now, here's the deal. We've got basically a bit of a consolidation area on NUKK as I see it. 8.25 to the upside and about 7.5 to the low side. It's not exact generally, so we have a bit of a 75 penny range, and we've held that 75 penny range for the last 3 5-minute candles, as you can see there on the chart, with outlying areas both above and below. The outlying areas go to 901. That is the high of the day. That is that red candle that goes up there. And then the low there just breaches that 7.5 by a couple of shekels, about 30 pennies, goes to 720. So I'm going to be keeping my eye here, man. I'm very interested in weaseling in. Let's see what time it is right now, how much time we have left. We have about 25 seconds or so if it is to be a 10-minute halt. So we're going to stay with you and see if we can see this one open together right now, and then how it all trades. So the theoretical auction price, show me 888s, 889 now. So no, there's a buy-in balance, at least for the moment. It's not operative. There could be a buy-in balance, and this thing can all sorts of sell right at the open. There it is. We are now open to the high side. Let's see if we can continue to hold this area. I'm punching long at around 9s. I will DCA into about 8 and change. But here we go, popping in. What do we get? We got 914. There's the 20s. There's 30s now. Big moves up right now on NUKK. Sending it to you, Joey.
Great question. Great question, Mr. Japa.
Mr. Lava.
Yeah, Mr. Lova. Whoa. No, great question. So he asked me if I used to trade. Yes, it's lunchtime. All right. He asked me if I used to trade verticals. So yeah, essentially what I would do, and I think this is such a fantastic way. And I learned one day the light bulb just clicked for me, and I'm like, right? I was just having a great time. So essentially what I used to do is I would always, not necessarily for puts, but with calls. So essentially what I would do is I buy my contract and I would buy the protective short call about 10 to 15 points higher, whatever strikes, correlate that with the delta. 1 second, we're gonna send to Adara in a second. But what I would do is that once my thesis started to work out, I would remove my hedge. So I would remove the short call and then allow that free running call to appreciate. So I'm all about writing those, doing those vertical spreads and even calendar spreads for the short strike, that is. So you write a shorter dated and you have a longer dated call, shorter dated short call. So what I'll just repeat what I said. I would start the vertical, I would start that spread, and then once the thesis really started to work out, I would remove my hedge, and then that would allow it to appreciate, and then that's when you can gain that full momentum of that specific contract, because we know when we short those calls, that's going to cap our profits as well as our losses. Obviously, it mitigates some of the losses a little bit more, but then it caps those profits. So when it works out, you remove that short call, and then sure enough, you have the ability to gain as much possibly. But guys, it's happening now with Adara, and no Neil's lesson of the day. Jeez. Wow.
One thing that should be happening soon, though not right now, is the cabinet meeting with Donald Trump's cabinet. I'll be covering that for you guys once it starts. I have multiple streams just ready for that to get started. Let's talk here about the Nasdaq. Here is the Nasdaq, a little bit of a push up on the day. Initially, we kind of struggled right off the open and then again a little bit later, but right now trying to find its footing. Let's talk about some of these catalysts today. Eli Lilly trying to break out yet again here after making a nice push right off the open. Their obesity pill, which initially was not too well received when they announced earlier data around their earnings report earlier this month. Now, apparently, I guess people liking to stab that a little bit better for their obesity pill. Nice push to the upside. IBKR, unfortunately, not pushing to the upside. Despite a positive catalyst, they're going to be joining the S&P 500 effective as of the open on August 28th. So that would be Thursday. They will be replacing Walgreen Boots Alliance, which is getting taken private. They'll be leaving the index. I want to mention here, too, I haven't posted this yet. This is, I guess, a preview post here. X at TTV Research. Looking here at all of these, I guess, merger and acquisition-related S&P rebalances, we're on our fifth right now. That would be IBKR replacing WBA. So let's see how many more we get this year. Since we've had that change of regime at the FTC, there's been quite a lot. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be giving you guys updates at this desk every single day as we send you back to the guys.
NUKK is just going
I'm just in NVDA.
Absolutely buck wild. Here is 10. There's a prohibitively large seller at $10. We're out at 86s or so. We did DCA a few times, initially in that 12s, and I caught 9s. Sorry, in 37s, 12s, 9s, and scalped out all the way into 10. This thing is going really aggressive. Be careful with this one, guys, okay? It is awfully volatile. There's that 10 again, and there's the seller at 10. There's barely any size actually posted on the gateway, but you have an idea of how strong that seller is because we've been weaseling up there with a ton of shares, and we haven't been able to shake them. So, and it barely spends any time there. Like, it gets into then, wow, there it goes. 1031 high. Now, this thing is up triple digits, 101%. It's all gas, no brakes. Here we go. We're about to take out the high. It's a 1031 high. It's a 1040 high. And here comes the halt parameter. 1040 halt parameter right now. 1203. Nope. False halt. Down into 30s we go. Showing 41s again. So now we have 10 seconds at this level before we gray out. Let's see if we do it now. It was a false halt last time. This one looks a bit more reasonable, like we are going to get a gray out momentarily. 1041 right now. We're out at like a little bit before 10. Great move up on NUKK. Shout out to my other pair of eyes, Bovin. He's always bringing the goods, and this one is very, very good. Go ahead, Adara.
Apple getting a nice pop here. They've confirmed the date and time of their Apple iPhone launch event. They're calling this awe-dropping. It's actually the same day as Robinhood's upcoming event, September 9th. Apple's event will be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So either way, AAPL trying to make new day's highs here, announcing that event time or confirming it. I think it was widely speculated to be September 9th anyway, but now we know for sure. Back to you.
It's crazy.
Crazy, man.
That's crazy. NUKK is crazy. It's halted again, Joey.
Oh, no
It's
way.
up 1,002%. No, I mean, I'm kidding, of course, exaggerating for effect as always, but 110.5%. And here, let's just get the data out. The halt time, 12:03:25. So you're going to right away add 5 minutes. On top of that, that's your first halt open time. And then the tap, we got to keep an eye on that. If you don't have that data point, well, you can always ask us, tag myself or Joseph in the chat. We're showing 11:08. It changes. So we are slated to open up nicely, about 50, 60 pennies, depending on the second that you look here at the top. We're halted at 10:40 on the dot. We're showing a top of 11.12 right now, so not much bad to say about this one. Let's pack our patience and see if we can take more out of that. I paper-handed NUKK so bad. I don't know about that, Bree94. It really depends on what your goals were, my friend. If your goal was to extract 10 pennies out of that, then you didn't paper-hand anything. You executed your plan. It's what your goal going into it was. So let me know what you were thinking there, and then maybe we can talk up some plans, etc. Now, I've got a couple of other trades going on. Open Door, not doing so well. VERI, a lot better. We got a couple of beak wetters on VERI. The only thing on VERI that I'm displeased about is not having added at that key area of technical support, formerly resistance. I'm talking about that 75 penny area. It didn't breach 78. So, didn't really give me an opportunity to there, but there was clearly a trough that was testing that previous area of support. So that's how I'm looking at right now. Open Door is a bit of a tougher trade for me. It is coming back down into that area trough. My line in the sand is awfully close. It loses 82s. That's going to be in the trade, and we'll go negatory on open, despite the fact that we had some good beak wetters. But the trend here feels like it is setting up for a flat bottom break with a lower high in that same area of technical support. I'm talking about that 485 to 480. Seems to find support there, but the kind of the trick here is to notice what the higher lows are doing with respect or relative to that same area flat bottom. And to me, it's lower highs, which is just the recipe for a flat bottom break. If I get another bump up, I'm going to flatten out at a better price. Otherwise, I don't have too much ambitions into this stock.
Ambitions. Isn't that a Jay-Z song, I think, or something like that? Maybe. I don't know. Probably.
I like it.
30,600 at 160 for the individual who asked, can Palantir break and hold the 160 level and head into 161? I mean, it's not out of the picture. We're north of it right now, and it looks like it wants to take another leg up. 161.32. This thing is absolutely going bonkers, guys. So an additional leg higher, and that's some phenomenal stuff. Our friend NVDA continuing to climb, heading into that 181.64 level. That's going to put us right around that previous high of the day anytime. So let's take a look. And this is what I was talking about when we did our segment here. You can see the concentration through 185 and 190. That's so small. So I'm curious as to what it is. That could just be like, hey, we're going to allow this thing to rock and roll come tomorrow evening and it just skyrocket up into 200. That would be absolutely phenomenal considering I'm holding some for a swing. Why not, right? Because I think it's, and I said this to Shreve, it's either make a couple hundred or lose a couple hundred. It is what it is. It's nothing substantial at all, really, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And there's nothing higher. I mean, we can head up into 230 with 22,700, but that's nothing compared to what we're seeing at 200, 56,900. Ooh, my days, that might be a key level that we might run into, 84.5 at 185. And then now we're currently trading at 181.59. I just don't think this is large enough considering the volatility spike. If we do head to the north side on that print, then I think that we can absolutely blow through this because before previous quarters, we were seeing 250,000 at that level, 250,000, 150,000, and through multiple strike prices, which is very, very intriguing. So good stuff there, 88,600.
Ram. Did you buy any ETH? Did you buy any ETH? That's crazy. You know it sold off a little bit, right?
What are you waiting for?
I know, just love her.
What are you waiting for?
I like asking her all the time.
Yeah. I mean, we got to see if she get in. I know she's in a couple of things, so I said, hey.
She's in a couple of things, eh?
Yeah.
What is she in, Joey?
I don't know if I can disclose that. We have to ask Ram if we can disclose.
Ram, are we allowed to talk about your very coveted portfolio?
She said, all right, dude. She said, sure. I think she's in some NVDA, that's for sure. And she's in at the low, so I said, hey, man, at least I could get is a chocolate bar or something.
She ain't gonna give you that.
Yeah, I think she'd give it to me, man. She would, because she gave me Reese's Pieces Smarties before, and we just have that type of relationship where she gives me stuff, and then I just say thank you.
And it's all good there, right?
That's where it ends. That's where it ends, my friend.
I like it.
Yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing going on,
I'm
brother.
in a trade right now.
Yeah,
So cover for a little.
Yeah. Of course, I got nothing going on. We'll rock and roll. You can see that we rejected this level.
Oh boy.
On NVDA here, that previous high of the day, key pivot, and then also this was yesterday's run up to 182, and then we rejected that trading south of that. So we might run into double top S territory right here on actually Jensen and Company. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. Also, let's go through some of the top volume names to see if there's anything that stands out. I tried looking at AMDL. That's a 2X. That's Direxon, I believe. Oh no, it's Granite Shares. 2X long, and for some reason I can't even pull it up. So I'm curious if you guys have ever traded AMDL. That's very, very interesting. And then we have Soldier Boy over here with you. Yeah. Of course, it doesn't want to pull up here, but that's okay. SoundHound. Oh, that looks really good. Wow. Okay, I'm surprising by this energy fuels, and I thought the energy sector was on the lower end of the spectrum this morning. As for top performing sectors, could I be eating those words relatively quick? Let's take a double look. Yeah, it's in dead last, and here he goes. Energy fuels, a nice bull flag up, and then we have this indecision print higher, but this consolidation phase for about 20 minutes or so, and then you take that second leg towards that peak. That's some nice movement in you, and these are just top volume name guys, so relatively cool because we've gone through this around this time of the day, and we've seen NVDA with 100 million shares, et cetera, and we only got 73.6, and Tesla, we get TSLL 52.5, and then Palantir with 42.8. So yeah, curious to see what's up with that. And then what do we got Ford up to? Obviously doing, as Sharif would like to say, Bubkiss. You got to stay away from that one. And then we got some Bitcoin miners as well too, going on the run. Wow, I'm surprised this allowed me to pull it up because it usually doesn't there, Sharif. So Riot platforms moving relatively well right there. And I didn't want to type in that one. I wanted to type in Mara. What is Mara Holdings up to on the day? And that's the one it doesn't like to pull up. So yeah, super embarrassing. Good times and good times only.
Yeah, Mara's that on my platform as well.
It does.
So
you can't pull it up. You can't pull it up.
Clearly something with our.
Yeah. It's like, why can't I pull up that?
Can I say that? Can I say something?
Yeah.
It's been that way since the pandemic.
Really? Eh?
Yes.
So it's like no one's inquired about it and be like,
I don't know. When I tell them very obvious problems, because I'm on the IBKR group on Facebook, right, where everybody complains and trades like ideas and whatever. So everybody's been mentioning this. So I have to assume,
that's crazy.
that they've known about this for a long time. But when you talk to them, they look at you like you're reinventing the wheel. You know, it's like, what are you talking about?
It
really?
Yeah,
I'm not the only one having this
problem.
problem.
We're only perfect around
And these got added to the S&P 500.
Yeah.
But can I say something else though?
That's crazy.
I don't think the technology is the end all and be all for the success of the company. Meta's technology is hot garbage.
Yeah.
Hot garbage. Okay, don't get me started on how bad Facebook Marketplace is. It's constantly glitching. It won't let me click on something. Then I got to reset the whole thing. Then I lose everything that I searched for. It's constant.
Yeah.
What else? There's glitches all the time on Instagram as well. So to me, it's just not execution. And the quality of the execution is just how many people they have and whether they can
No, I think to be honest with you, I think the with the actual transactions on IBKR is second to none in my opinion.
They're okay.
I think they're phenomenal, brother. I'm gonna stand by that.
Can I say one thing? What I really like about them is that you can literally get every gateway under the sun if you get the permissions.
Everything.
Right? So you can have a full picture of the market. You can't really say that with too many of the brokerages in Canada. Well, that I know you guys.
To be honest with you,
have a lot
I've
more.
never had an issue ever catching a fill. It doesn't.
No?
Not
But
once.
you pay
ever.
$1 for stuff that you pay on, for the fills. You can pay $1.
50 cents.
50?
A transaction.
Okay, then maybe I'm set up a little bit differently.
I said maybe a tier system, right?
That's
so it was 50 cents a ticket. Okay, beautiful. Adara, what do you got for us?
Yeah, just to let you guys know, we're getting a little push up here in the market. We do have Donald Trump's cabinet meeting. It's begun. He's speaking right now. I'll let you guys know if anything market moving is happening, but right now he's just, praising the U.S.'s efforts. Back to you.
so many different it'll hit so many different gateways. So when you go and look at the order, it's just like
splitting the orders.
Yeah, if it has to, right?
If you can put, there's so many different trading algos too that you can put.
Yeah.
You can put like a price algo. You can put a fill algo for the best fills. A price algo for the best price. You got to play around with all that stuff.
It was smart routing. It's smart routing. Yeah, it's smart routing. It's smart routing. It's crazy. But yeah, I got nothing, brother. What do you got cooking?
Yeah, we need to get sponsored here, bro. You're sitting here doing a segment for IB. Come on now, what's going on? All right, guys, we're doing it freaking live right now. So NUKK on the way down. We scalped up a little bit, gave back a little bit, made some back, scalped out again. So this one's all over the map. It is coming into the volume-weighted average price. In fact, the volume-weighted average price on my chart at around 915. So it does touch that level and now rocketing back up. But I will tell you there is a prohibitively large seller at 1025 in and around, I should say, that 1020 area because it was initially at 25s. And when we worked our way back up there, it looked to be in the mid to low 20s. So let's see, number one, can we get back above 10? And if we do, are we still looking at that same staunchy seller at that 10 and a quarter? Watching NUKK here as it drops below 100% on the day. But Bovin was telling me about a different one, VSME. Let's have a look at that. Take a gander at VSME. I'm going to put it like this so I can keep my eye on the level 2 on NUKK in case this one really gets going. Let's put the 5-minute here on VSME. Okay, Bovin, not too bad, but a little bit light on volume. What are we at? On the day, 1.46 million shares on a dollar name. We got a topping tail candle into a $1.70. We're losing VWAP, which is okay. I'd like to see this Bovin hold above that $1.40, $1.39. That's a 10 EMA on the 5. I'm all right with it losing VWAP on an initial price spike up because VWAP tracks the price quicker when there's aggressive movement, price movements to the high side, then does the 10 EMA. So I will be okay with this one being below the 10 EMA for a long, but it's got to hold above that green line right there. That green line is at around $1.39. Still keeping my eye, though, on NUKK for a hold, generally of that $9 area, which I mentioned is the volume-weighted average price, and or a break above 10 and a quarter. So I'll be watching both to see what the situation is with both. Let's have a look over here at my other trade. It's doing all right, VERI. We got no beak wetters. Let's wet the beak and see what comes of that. Back to NUKK. We're back above 10. Oh boy, are we gonna break above that 10 and a quarter? Watching intently here, right back down we go, below 10 into 9 3/4 on NUKK, still up 100%. Joey, we're still above that volume weighted average price though. So I am watching to see whether we hold it or not, what the situation is going to be with this one. Open door is all sorts of losing it, so we did get stopped out. We'll go basically, let me see here. I'm just going to be full disclosure with you guys. 1, 2, 3. So we are on the day. Oh boy, it's exactly the opposite of how my day was on Friday. Friday. We were 5 for 6 on Friday. We are 1 for 5 today. Oh no. With my biggest loser being open doors. So we'll look to do a little bit better, keeping my eye on this one. It could be a quick fix though. We're not all down by that much. We'll see if we can get above that 10 and a quarter. 10 and a quarter gets me back into NUKK. Adair.
Just keep an eye here in META, getting a little push here off of VWAP, though it's already giving back up a little bit of that. Donald Trump right now talking about Mark Zuckerberg, CEO, and Meta's AI build-out plans, praising, I guess, this idea. Back to you.
Quarter, and they just drop back down like it doesn't even matter. Oh my goodness, yeah, NUKK. So NUKK is going to be a VWAP trade here because clearly that seller at 10 and a quarter got decimated as it went all the way up to 10 2/3. Right back down into that 10 whole dollar it goes. So there's not the bid there that you expect below that 10 and a quarter to act as an area of support, Joey. This one's all sorts of crazy, but it really hasn't given up the ghost yet, and we could easily see 12 or 13. Bovin was telling me to go back on the daily and look at this one. Apparently it had a day in January, kind of showing its true colors or what its potential is, so to speak, as a momentum trade, Joey. So that's what I'll be looking at.
All right, guys. Exciting news for Canadian sophisticated traders. Beta Pro by Global X Canada has just launched 6 new triple leverage ETFs offering 3x bull and 3x bear exposure to the S&P and TSX 60, semiconductors, and U.S. Treasuries. Ever been? They're offering a special free rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points until December 31st, 2025. These ETFs also employ currency hedging to seek to neutralize U.S. dollar exposure, providing performance that may accurately reflect the underlying U.S. equity indices. If you're a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca 3x daily to learn more about it. So good stuff there. You're cooking up on nuclear, my friend. Also, what was I gonna? Okay, so yeah, we want to talk about Qualcomm. There's something else that I had on my mind, so hopefully it comes back. But here it is. We got the upgrade today on QComm, but you can see that we're in this consolidation. So the next step is to break 164. Let's zoom in and head to towards that 5-minute time frame. Man, what a monstrous day it's been putting in. An opening price of around 157, and we're trading around 159.82, heading in towards that 160. So some phenomenal stuff right there on Qualcomm for my guy Seth. Havana Woody, yeah, you're cooking up over there on XRP. Let's pull up UXRP to see what my guy's up to. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. So we were Beta Pro saying they're lowering their management fees. Who remembers Grayscale's IBIT ETF? Or sorry, Bitcoin ETF, GBTC. Garbage. Where'd it go? Why? Because they messed up on their management fees. You had everyone else charging essentially nothing, and then we had Grayscale over to our left who was like, no, we want to get greedy and start collecting some more management fees. Well, guess what? Well, nobody's trading you anymore. So UXRP, some good stuff there. See, that's the thing here, Havana, as well, too. We're running into liquidity issues. Big time. Bigly. All right? So we got to keep that in mind. I like that it's pro shares, obviously big fan of pro shares, but once this starts to gain some ground, then we're going to start to see that liquidity start to ramp up. Now let's pull up GBTC. Grayscale. Look at it. Look at this. The fact that it even has some of this barcode type price actions knows that you dropped the ball. That's insane. And then I'm pretty sure they ousted that guy. He was like, see you. They're like, see you later. You messed this up. One of the most successful ETF launches ever is going to be IBIT. And then Grayscale was, I think, in the door before them. And then look at this. We run into zero liquidity issues here on IBIT. And then with Grayscale, that's what happens when you get greedy. People just start to flock to another direction. But yeah, Havana Woody, UXRP one more time. Once we start getting more liquid on this name, I think we might start trading it from an intraday. No, I never said that, Scott Hunter. I never said I don't like it. I just don't own any. I owned a bit. I didn't own anything substantial. I had 100 of them of actual XRP, and I sold those at some pops. And I'm like, all right, let me rotate and grab some other things. So yeah, I just don't know enough about Ripple. I'm pretty sure it's centralized as well too, which I'm not a big fan of. We want to go with the decentral, right? So the DeFi. So at the end of the day, because XRP and Ripple are essentially the same thing, are they not? Please inform me if I stand corrected. So yeah, that's what we got going on. The Q's still grinding higher. I can't believe this. I haven't even looked at the SPY today, so we'll take a gander on that one. Breaking through some key resistance zones. You can see that this was the post-market level. This is a nice head and shoulder level right here as well too. Maybe see if we can rock and roll up into that specific thing.
Yeah, I'm listening to your friend Donald there.
What's he saying
He's crapping
there?
all over wind and solar.
Yeah.
Funny,
he's
bro.
not about that life.
Yeah,
That's well established. Yeah,
I read a little interesting article there. Pierre Poilievre put it. He's the leader of the opposition.
Around, eh?
Yeah, he's back in Parliament now. He put it as on his Instagram, 125 billion apparently of net outflows from Canadian markets into American markets since your friend Carbon Tax took over there, eh?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's an ugly look.
That is.
But you know how money is, bro. Money's super transient. It's super transitory.
Yeah.
Use that word, right? Yeah. No, but what I mean is, it's in America tomorrow. It can be in Canada in a few days.
Absolutely.
If the right economic and business environment takes place. What we're talking about here is a fun.
We start selling energy to the Americans.
And minerals,
right.
Critical minerals, bro. We saw Donald all up in arms about the magnets from China. Well, guess who else has magnets, Joey Options?
Who? Bang. We
Not just Canada, Ontario, baby. The ring of frickin' fire.
Yeah,
we all know about that anyway.
And also our good friend Kevin O'Leary also mentioned as well too our previous individual there. I'm not going to repeat what he called them. The previous.
Yeah, your boy
I'm not
JT?
I'm not even going to give. I don't even like speaking his name. At the end of the day, he put on that additional capital gains tax, which just made again. It's just people are like, why would I ever put $1 into this country if I'm going to have to walk away paying an additional 30% of my 50% that I get to to keep. So yeah, there it is. Hopefully we can start to throw those out of the window. And
yeah,
start
well,
investing.
yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all,
No.
obviously. But what I really want to focus on is more capital inflows into Canada, into some of these Canadian mining companies, Canadian energy companies. I think that we've got a lot of what the world wants. It's just about having the political and the business will to get it and
to extract it.
Yeah, and to commodify it, right? And to have
exactly.
it and to have different markets for it as a destination, not just one specific market that you have all your eggs in one basket. Not saying we can't rely heavily on the United States. In fact, I would suggest that we do because they're a pretty consistent buyer. However, I don't think putting all your eggs in one basket as a strategy sound. Guys, before we go to Adara, sorry, Joseph, I just got to tell everybody, criminals breaking out. CRML is on the rampage to the high side. This one had a zig and zag right at 11 o'clock when we started. It dropped back down below 6. It was no longer of interest to me, but as you see, we are at the day's high, 7:30. People are piling into this one. Be careful. Criminals burned me before, and it'll burn you again unless you trade it carefully. CRML, go ahead, Adara.
Just keep an eye here. Wayfair dropping. Donald Trump here criticizing, I guess, how the furniture industry has moved out of the U.S. and once again promising furniture tariffs. Other names you could look at here include Williams-Sonoma, WSM. They report earnings tomorrow as well. And there's also RH that you could watch. All of these names dropping as Donald Trump once again mentions the need for furniture tariffs to bring furniture manufacturing back to the U.S. Back to you.
Also, our good friend, actually, I'm not even going to say that. The previous guy who was our prime minister decided not to sell a bunch of liquid natural gas to Germany. Who's like, we need this stuff. And they're like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're not about that life. Okay, guys, you've seen Trade the Pool here with us for a while now. And now Trade the Pool has created something special just for you. A free ebook featuring 4 proven swing trading strategies from Trade the Pool's top funded traders. Inside, you'll see exactly how they approach the markets, how they manage risk, and what setups they rely on, so you can learn and grow from what actually works. Download it now by scanning the QR code on screen or hitting the link in the description. All right, so there it is. Here's to what you guys are trading here today, because I'm personally just sitting on my hands, looking at the TQs. Have we double top? Do I want to short this market? Is NVDA going ahead? And it's just a constant wheel and thought process that you're just trying to navigate from a day-to-day basis. Considering, full disclosure, it's been a hot garbage session for me. Yesterday started out hot garbage, and then we were fortunate enough to catch a nice Tesla trade. But I don't see those opportunities arising just yet in today's market. So yeah, we'll be patient, and it's just a one-off day. So that's why we don't. Get too frustrated. I mean, obviously you're gonna have those days where you do. And personally, it's just like, hey, there's going to be another day, so don't forget that. Okay, Adam, my friend. Adam. Do you guys know what this is? This is the TSX Composite Index right here, guys. So this is Canadian Toronto Stock Exchange market. This is absolutely phenomenal. And how are you going to say it goes to die? If you just invest in this index, look how phenomenal it's been trading. Off of those lows, you're up 30%. The April, right? Liberation Day lows, boom. Don't call it a comeback. Yeah, we're not calling it just yet.
Sorry, bro, they're out.
You're lying.
Yeah.
So why'd you bring the empty container?
Because I was giving it out. Randy got one, Rob got one, Ram got one, and Assassino.
No way.
There will be more for you tomorrow.
That is insane.
There will be more for you tomorrow. Hold on, you got a couple of times. Nobody, those guys never got it.
But I'm over here starving, and I specifically asked him, like, "Hey, man,
I'll go get you treats."
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Sorry, bro.
All right.
Sorry.
And then he's like, "No, you know what? This reminds me of that story." So I get horribly car sick, and I'm coming back from Dominican, and my grandma's like, "Here, it's my friend. Here's a gravel." My grandma takes the gravel. And I'm like, where's my gravel? I'm the only one that gets sick here. And I had no gravel. So guess who's puking in the back of the coach bus the whole ride? So that is insane. I'll never forget. People don't forget. I will never forget that.
What do you mean, dude? I give you every time. Don't poop on me.
No, I don't want
that.
yours, Ram. You can eat it.
Oh. Did the mic pick that up, Assassino?
Man.
Did the mic pick that up?
That's what good friends do. I told you, we have a... That's insane.
Ram, what do you think of the new kind? It's great, eh? All right. Okay. Man, if we ever do like one of those Trader TV meet and greets, these have to be served there. You know what I mean? Because like we've talked about them so much, right? So, all right, guys, nothing doing on my side other than this VERI trade. We've been through into 88s. I'm looking for a flat top break essentially into about 3. Let's keep an eye out on this one, but it's really the criminal show right now. Off the high, 736, dropping back down into 7. It's got a double bottom at a key technical area. I'm talking about the 680 area, 6 mid-80s. I'm talking about this area right here, drops back down on a 2-candle basis on the 5. It holds the closing print. Back above 7 we go. I think the money fills might be in between this kind of 680 to 7 area, but I'm going to give this one the old community college try. We're going to give this one a long at this level. We've got 9s on. Let's see if we can take out some here and then a little bit higher. Here we go. We're breaking out again. Let's see if we can put some into the 20s and then possibly into the high 20s as well. I do want to be able to get some more if it does lose my area, because I do see a good area between 680 to 7. So let's go ahead and wait a little bit south of that 7 area. I'm going to wait mid-90s. Let's go ahead and wait 95s. But this one does seem like it might have some strength to the high side right now. Criminal, CRML, keeping my eye on that one. How's my VERI trade doing? Still at 88s. It's been at 88s for many different times. Can't seem to clear it as it doesn't cross on, the ask. So we'll pack our patience there. But there goes Criminal, taking out all but one of my orders. 24s, I've got the next beak wetter at 28. So let's see if we can get that continuity at least into the high of the day. The high of the day is 36. We have a couple of bottoming tail candles, as I mentioned, into the 680s, which I do like as an area support. So even if it goes against me, I'm going to allow this trade to fill over here. As you can see, a resting order sitting in the 6 mid-90s. So we've wet the beak here a few times, looking for a little bit more. Let's set up another one. Oh, what do you got there, Katina, man? Is that ground beef?
It's that Thai basil.
It looks pretty good, actually. Not bad at all. I like those. What is that?
Orzo?
Orzo, eh? It looks like basmati, long basmati rice a little bit.
Man.
I like it. Neil's meal is there if you want it. Joey? Neil's meal is there. He didn't cancel his meal, so if you want to have it.
Yeah. We're going to have 2 meal deals today.
Oh.
Considering my guy was just handing out candies to everyone else but his boy.
Guy, bro. I gave this guy the first out of everybody the treats, and then I handed it to the people who didn't take, and I haven't stopped hearing about it since. Your boy, bro. Unbelievable, this guy. Unbelievable.
And then Katina Man brings his food over here. I'm sitting over here starving Marvin, and I'm just like, man.
Starving Marvin.
Hold on.
Get it, Joey.
Yes, I got it.
All right, guys, so we're keeping an eye here on Criminal into the 7 and change, still below the high of the day, looking at punching some out below the high because it does currently have a lower high. This current candle has a lower high than the prior candle, which is the high of the day candle. That's the bad side of the equation. The good side is it has a higher low, a substantially higher low. The previous candle got down into the mid-80s. This candle actually defends 7. I'm talking about the 5-minute candle on CRML. Did we get the fill on VERI? No, we didn't. Holy, that's all sorts of staunchy, that seller at 88s there. Let's keep an eye out on that. I've been waiting a hot minute. Nice, complaining you'll get it. We got the fill. Now we're waiting at 90 here on VERI. Let's see if we can test that high of the day. The high of the day on VERI, guys, 93s.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing here, healing pain, right? Like, you can't really argue this too much. The charts speak for itself on the TSX. This is phenomenal stuff. We haven't even experienced a hefty pullback since April. This is kind of giving me Microsoft vibes, so watch out, just in case the Canadian economy wants to crash. You don't want to be involved in this. But I mean, this is some phenomenal stuff, right, guys? This is just continuous appreciation. Let's hop out to the weekly and see what we got going on. And from March of 2020, after COVID, look at this beautiful stuff. So yeah, this is really, really good. Maybe I start to dabble in some of this, considering I own 0 Canadian equities. So get involved in the overall market. Do you own anything Canadian or just
I have Enbridge in the long term. I've had that for years and years and years because it's a good dividend pair.
Yeah, I was gonna say dividend.
What the hell else did I have of Canada? I had, what's it called? The I don't have any banks, Katina, man. Just the FX, not the FXI. No, the ETF. What's it called?
The internet.
No, it's the bank ETF that I've held for a couple of years. What the hell is FX?
Something like that.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever it's called. I used to own TD, but that.
I had the energy company. I'm forgetting the name of it right. Synovus. I had that for a hot minute, but I'm not in that.
I think what Neil says as well too. A lot of Canadians own Enbridge. Enbridge is obviously fantastic stuff here. Let's pull up EMP.
It's a good dividend payer, but they're carrying a lot of debt.
Are they carrying?
Yeah, which makes me worried about their ability to continue to pay the coupon. So that's I've always been cognizant of that, but they've been paying.
Weren't we in talks with selling it to Japan or China as well too, which kind of got thrown out of the window?
Enbridge?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Or no, it was Aecon. I think it was Aecon that they were looking to sell.
Convict.
Yeah, so that's one of the large. Aecon is a good company to own as well too. So there's that. There's the Enbridge, guys. Not too bad. A lot of ebbs and flows within this specific name. Tesla.
XLF, Katina, man. Jeez,
I
remember, I didn't hear you.
XLF?
You know my ear's messed up, right? It is? Yeah, that's why I wasn't here yesterday. I scratched it with the Q-tip, and then I went wakeboarding at the cousin's cottage on Saturday, and then it re-aggravated the whole thing, Katina.
There you go.
So it's no good there.
So it's no good. So there's Tesla here, guys, punching through the volume-weighted average price, but you can see that this downtrend is still fully intact right now. So we're going to be patient. If anything, what's attracting my eyes is a potential short in this market. Again, you don't want to go too crazy just in case that we got to go through the Mag 7, see what they're up to, what's Meta doing, heading towards the lower end of the range. Softy still on the south side of that downtrend, putting in another red session there, guys. $500 and change on that one. Google, what's Goggles up to? Above the volume weighted average price, AAPL. That one is above VWAP now as well, too, guys, on that news that Adair brought us. And then Amazon, we'll take a look at what Amazon's up to. So that's the thing about trading the TQs. You've got to look and see if these other names are going to break down. But that's the thing that's most attractive to me right now.
All right, guys, we've got another 10 minutes or so, and then we're going to start the news. There's a whole bunch to talk about today. Macro sense, micro sense. Your boy Donald's threatening a lot of people with new tariffs, and there's a lot to get to from the bigger picture, both for your swings, your investments, as well as, obviously, these intraday trades. So make sure to hang out with us for a few more minutes, and then we go into a deep dive. We literally do line by line. You'll hear what Adara has to say. You'll hear what Joey Options has to say. You'll hear what I think as well. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, hang out with us. We're going to be starting that very, very soon. But as we continue to watch that, we're continuing to watch Criminal, Zig and Zag. We've gotten a bunch out of here on Criminal. We don't have too many winners on the day, but this one, at least for the moment, will be one. I don't mind, again, as I've mentioned, allowing this to dip momentarily below $7 to defend what I perceive to be that key area of technical resistance between 7 to 680, right? So if it continues down, fantastic, but not too much down there, Mr. Criminal. Let's put another beak wetter here in the mid-30s to see if we can get something up there if this one does get a nice little move up. Now, how's my other trade doing? VERI, true to form. You know, you get into that level, as we've seen before, that key price level that you're waiting at. You don't get the fill as a result of really how slow this is. It has nothing to do with the exchanges that we're using, but the volume here not really rocketing up. It's done 5 million shares on the day for a $3-ish name, so it's not exactly the biggest mover on the day. Tipio, is he saying Mr. Trump? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. Explain. Anyway, back to CRML. Here we go. 25, 22s, 23s. This looks like a nice breakout. 25 seller here. Can we shake that 25 seller? Not too much posted on the gateway. Dip down into 24, but it does look like this one might be catching a bid. We've got 3 higher lows in a row. So if you're looking at that 5-minute candle at 1225, the 1230 candle, higher low, and this current candle, the 1235 candle, another higher low. Alas, we have a seller here at 24 and 25. They just got removed 26 now on the ask, but it's not rocketing up. So the profit taking or the short selling literally at every penny. Where does that stop? Well, it could stop at 736 or higher. There we go. We just popped up nicely into the 30s there. Get a nice price spike up. We get the fill because we had a resting order. Let's do that again. We got 35s on now. Let's set something up in the low 40s in case this one gets really aggressive and moves up to the high side. I think now I'm going to set up maybe a stop below 7 and remove that DCA. I'll keep my eye on that. We got the fill simultaneously here on VERI at 90. Now we're waiting at 91s. I want to mention that the high of the day is 93, so we are 1 penny, 2 pennies off that high of the day right now on VERI. Good strength on this name, not rocketing up, but stair-stepping up. Be careful for reversion, though. That does seem to be this one's modus operandi. At least I've seen that in the past. So 1238 right now. Joey, tell them what you're looking at.
I'm at the queue. I'm in the queues here, seeing if we can get a move to the downside, just risking the previous high of the day. So that's approximately 15 cents or so. Let's hop in and we'll take a look at the TQs. It's either it's going to work or it's not, right? As obvious as it may sound. So yeah, I like our chances of breaking through some of these key support levels. Start relatively small. Wait until we get some bounces at some of the support that could act, or sorry, prior resistance that can act as support. And as long as we curl over, then we can add into this position. But right now, we're only risking about 15 to 20 pennies on this one, roughly or so. You want to give it a little bit more room above that previous high just in case. But as I'm looking across the board, Tesla's still holding on there. I mean, we had that massive volatility spike step in, so a big volume candle right here, and then this engulfing print that just engulfed this whole range right here. Okay. So you can see that, yeah, well, the engulfing print tend to do that, the engulf things, I think. Last time I checked, right? So there it is. A pretty good look. And we're still within this, and so inside of this 5-minute print, I'm curious to see if we can sit on the backside of this trend here and then maybe sit on top of it. But if not, if the Qs want to break down, I'll be totally cool with that. Either way is fine. Still waiting on that one, Fabian. But that's okay. So TQs up about 0.5%. I'm going to be patient and wait and see. I mentioned before, we want to build into this, and the primary target is going to be the volume weighted average price, okay? So just keep that in mind. With that being said, I have to keep my eyes on, for some reason I fear Meta, because it's just such a strong name, even though it is breaking down. So yeah, that's positive. Yes, let's go break down Meta. So now I'm just going to be switching all my charts from what I had. I have Ether up there, Palantir, IBIT. Now I got to go focus on what the MAG are up to. So we got, let's change that to NVDA, AAPL. Yo, that's my.
Hold on. No. Keep going. Keep going. You can't even right now. That's mine. Don't even try, bro.
Brother.
Don't even try.
No. I'm not having this whatsoever. I can't do it. Brother. I'm like, yo, who is this guy?
That's the Arsenal striker. You're not claiming this guy, bro. Don't even try.
Sharif.
That's brother, an Arsenal striker,
no, brother,
my man.
Listen to me for so long. Listen to me for a second. I literally went up to you earlier, like at the beginning of the year. I'm like, who's the guy who does this? And you're like, I don't know.
Victor, I didn't understand what you meant, man. You asked me that today?
No, a long time ago.
Oh,
remember?
Okay,
you don't remember this conversation? I'm like, yo, who's the guy who does this? And you're like, oh, I don't know his name.
It's Victor.
Yeah. How do you do this? Can you do the other one? You know that guy, that one?
Yeah, I see that guy. Yeah.
I don't know.
This is way better though. He's like a masked assassin, bro.
I'm the one who said to this guy a long time ago. It's like 6 to 8 months ago. I'm like, yeah, what's the footballer that goes like this? He's like, I don't know, bro. And then sure enough, he's like, no, you can't steal it. That's crazy.
He's from Sweden. The girls are very nice. He dumped his girlfriend to play for red and white.
Is that how the
He scores goals with a cannon on his chest. His name is Victor Goikaraj.
I love the chance that they have. I love the chance that they have.
It's next level, man.
Yeah, I got to go to
and everybody's got
a
their own, right?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's cool. Remember, like, yeah, the kids are even doing this these days.
Well, that's where it's coming from. That's that's one of the main celebrations, right, for strikers right now.
How do you do this?
One of the best signings, I would say, of the season so far.
You do. I did it one time.
Do you know the story behind this guy?
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Anyway, good story. But the better story is the guy they just signed.
Yeah. Never mind that. I like. What's that AEVA you got up there? That looks pretty good. Enticing.
Where am I looking?
There, the far right, top right.
Far right?
Yeah,
AEVA. I know, but
it's pretty good.
Kind of bull flagging a little bit there, right? So, anyway, Sharif rode the short bus as a chile. I don't know what that means, but I know what this is doing right now. Into 93.
You don't know what that means?
Into Chile?
Oh, into Chile. Oh,
yeah. I was like, I don't even know what that means.
No.
Rode the bus? Oh, rode the bus like your bandwagon?
No,
I don't know what that means, bro.
The short bus, man.
Short bus? Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, that's obviously very normal. I know, like generally I am slow, right?
No, you're not. You're definitely not. But I thought you knew what that meant.
No. Anyway, guys, we're still holding criminal over here. We're waiting for a big boy break of that 7 1/3. I've been packing my patience, baby, because there's been a whole bunch of selling into that high threes. But here we go. Now we're showing 29s on a holding basis. This isn't just a quick wick into that level and then a drop, but we're still getting selling into that 730 area, 736 high a day. That's what I'm keeping my eye on, Joey. What do you got?
I'm still short TQs here. Yeah, let me kind of just get my stuff here. Yeah, exactly. We'll slap the fail on that one. But no, in all seriousness, so we failed to establish a new high right there. And then now we're starting to head towards these support levels at around $90.10.
That's so funny.
Bro, it's that, no, I can't stop laughing. It's the chat, man. These guys are too much. It's not that funny, but for some reason.
You seem to find it funny.
Yeah, yeah.
So share.
No, it's, well, you got to read the comments. They're all laughing.
From dudes who got their hand in their crotch in their mom's basement.
Yeah, well, no,
I'd rather watch something else like these prints. Anyway, move on.
Yeah, all right. TQs about to break the lows and then potentially head towards the volume weighted average price, and that's when we're going to add into these trades. And yeah, that's what we got going on right now. So I'm going to be patient. As long as the big names continuously sell, then I think we're going to be sitting in a good position. I don't want to sell into support, so we want the retest of those levels, and then we'll be able to add into that position. So patience is the name of today's game. Meta continuously selling. AMD is back towards the volume weighted average price, so that's something that we're going to keep an eye on, even though it's not necessarily going to move the market. But here we go, breaking through. One thing to note is that we need the volume to pick up, and that's going to be to the downside.
All right, we're holding on to VERI, got another print into the high of the day yet again. So we're showing 93s now, but this story we've seen before. We've seen that 93 seller. That's exactly where we sold off last time. That's not where I got involved. I'm still holding a piece here. Actually, I'm holding multiple pieces. So let's take out another piece over here, and we'll wait for a $3 move. So I'm going to set up some into 97s as well, and then into 99s, knowing that they're likely, that there likely will be some selling into that $3 area. Let me just cancel this order right here. We're going to wait at 99s for this one, but it is now 12:45, excuse me. So we will start the news just in a second. I just want to throw a couple of stop orders on my VER trade. We're going to look for a trailing stop on this bad boy. Wow, there goes criminal to the high side again. Nice move into the high. Now up 17 1/3%. Look for that $8 touch. I'm adding 10s over here, man. Oh my goodness. $8 touch. This could squeeze quick as you like. Have a look at the daily on this one though. Very few candles actually close up at the high as previous. As of late, we've been doing okay. Not too bad. Let's look here at the daily on CRML. So we should be encountering some resistance at that $8 area. That's kind of my bias on that one. Wow, look at this rounded bottom, bro. Look at this, is not bad at all, man. Look at that. It comes into that $1.50, $1.75, rockets up into that 7.5. This is not a bad look at all, man. I've been trading this as a small cap gapper, but it's clearly showing you something else. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one. But criminal into that 7.5. We go. Good look there. Let's see if we can get a little bit more on this one. Let's bring in, though, the news of the day. Let's see what we got on this bad boy. All right, guys, just setting up for this one. Give me a moment. All right, let's start with this NUKK news, because this one was moving the markets last night with Donald Trump coming out on Truth Social late yesterday, I think like 6, 7 o'clock, basically letting everyone know she either resigns or she's going to get fired. Then he comes out later and says basically she's fired. So Donald Trump announced Monday that he has fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, citing allegations of mortgage fraud. Trump claims Cook made false statements on mortgage applications, both for her house in Michigan and in Georgia. The firing was announced on Truth Social and followed the Department of Justice's decision to open an investigation after it was referred to them by the FHFA Director Bill Pult. Cook said Trump has no authority, according to her, under the law to fire her, and vowed not to resign. She hired high-profile attorney Abe Lowell to fight the move, calling it an illegal action. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 actually gives the president the power to remove governors only for cause. For cause is a legal term defined by the courts, not by statute, typically defined as serious misconduct. Legal experts expect that the matter may find its way into the courts. If not, the Supreme Court itself will have to wait and see how that ends up working out. 6-3. Well, depending on how you categorize them, the conservative judges hold a 6-3 power advantage there. If upheld, Trump would gain power to reshape the federal board with more appointees by him. Cook, who was appointed by Biden back in 2022, is obviously the focus of this latest spat. Trump has already nominated Stephen Moran to replace Adriana Kugler, who resigned earlier this month. And if Cook is removed and Moran is confirmed, Trump would hold a 4-3 majority on the Fed appointees. So much like he holds a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, it would be a 4-3 majority here, with Jerome Powell's term also expected to expire in May. The majority could influence Joey Fed policy, including rates on reserves and regulatory oversight, even beyond the FOMC's decisions. Adara.
If you're aware here, CoreWeave and Nvidia on watch announcing via a blog post that apparently CoreWeave's Nvidia GB300 production-ready instances for enterprise AI are being introduced here. They feature Nvidia Blackwell Ultra GPUs, and they apparently deliver more than 6 times the performance gain versus DeepSeek's R1. So CRWV announcing this positive performance with this Nvidia GB300. Interesting look there. Back to you.
What do you think about this?
I mean, there's not much I can really say about it, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, if you break the law, you break it. And if she's claiming that she has 2 primary residents, then unfortunately, with your positioning and where you sit on the FOMC, then I think that you're going to get in some big trouble. And that's clearly displayed here today. So.
Fair. Adara, is the silence more loud than the statements?
To know like a lot more details. Like Bill Pulte, as much as he loves, oh, I have evidence, oh, look at my proof, all he's posted are completely decontextualized signatures. He's like, oh, the signatures are the same. We don't see the documents that are being signed. Now, I understand you have to redact things. That's not my issue. My issue is even just release the redacted documents where you can see what she applied for, because right now, all we're seeing is ununcovered signatures floating in the wind. So that's my issue. You guys know I'm a very big fan of making sure we get the story straight, get all the ducks in the row. Right now, I just don't think we have, I guess, a ton of concrete evidence, at least that we've seen, to support this. Furthermore, there's the issue of the Fed's own very loose policies when it comes to cause that could lead to some issues for President Trump with this firing. Now, a lot of their government agencies specify what, I guess, constitutes being fired for cause. The Fed does not. So as far as we can tell here, generally what I'm seeing is economists are saying for cause would usually apply to work that's done in the Fed. So if people think that Lisa Cook is doing a bad job as a Fed governor, if she's done some misconduct during her time as a Fed governor, but these mortgage fraud applications, if true, they happened prior to her appointment. And point B, they're actually not related to her professional work. So people are saying that even if it did happen, which again, if it did happen, that's terrible. But even if it did, apparently that still might not constitute cause, which maybe the Fed should be more clear what cause is.
So
either way, interesting
if
stuff.
she was facing first-degree murder charges outside of her work, that wouldn't be for cause either, right?
Well, I'm just saying that's what the Fed's rule actually is. Like they don't specify. So that's why it gets a little bit more legal loophole.
Yeah, so what I read was for cause is actually a legal term actually defined by the courts. So you're not going to find that in the statute. It's actually going to come down to whether or not, she holds the veracity of her office. So if she has what they're calling basically allegations of dishonesty, as opposed to maybe allegations of violence, that puts into her question her ability to do her job. So if she's making false statements, and nobody's saying she is without seeing more, if she's making false statements in one context, what's to stop her from making false statements in the other?
Yeah. So what I'm just saying here, though, is from as far as I've seen, again, all I know is I've seen, economists look into this, because certain different governmental agencies, regardless of the overall statute, they have their own rules because the feds are not at all clear. That's why it gets a little bit more loophole.
Interesting.
But I fully agree with you. If someone broke the law, they should be punished for that. It should be addressed. But I still want to see more evidence here.
I agree. We need to definitely see more. I'm assuming we haven't seen as much because of some confidentiality stuff. We'll have to wait and see what they announce. Let's go on to the next story. IBM and AMD joining forces on a quantum-centric supercomputer. So IBM and AMD have announced a strategic collaboration to develop quantum-centric supercomputing. It's going to combine IBM's quantum technology with AMD's high-powered computing. We're talking about these advanced AI GPUs. The companies aim to build scalable, open source. That was kind of the outlying to me here. It's not going to be closed source. Open source platforms that could redefine the future of computing. An initial demonstration of the technology is expected later this year. Can't wait to see how it actually goes, though no specific date was given. So the collaboration is going to integrate, as we mentioned, AMD's high-performance chips with IBM's quantum computing. The goal is to create what they're calling a hybrid model that is faster and more powerful than the current supercomputers. Obviously, that's the goal. And it's going to leverage qubits, which is a quantum bits, which is how these quantum computers actually operate. They can be in multiple states simultaneously, whereas when you're using high-power computing, it's either a 0 or a 1. The idea is to allow more complex problem solving than classical computers. But there is going to be an advantage here, especially, doing things like climate modeling, drug discovery, advanced material science. That's where I think this computing space could really benefit from this combination, this hybrid system. And you have the IBM CEO saying the partnership will create powerful hybrid models that can push beyond the limits of traditional computing. And for her part, Lisa Su's also was bullish. She says this represents a tremendous opportunity to accelerate in innovation and discovery. I know you've been a bull on AMD for a while here, how they can compete with Nvidia. This has got to be a good look for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we got the MI 400 coming out next year as well, too, Sharif. But one thing to note is that IBM has been a low-key absolute killer from those April lows. Obviously, we've been pulling back, but that's 40% roughly off of the April lows. And then you can see continuously we have this gap down roughly. This was going to be the earnings report, and we've been trading lower. But for me personally, quantum space, it's most definitely been leading by IBM. We can go into the names of IonQ and RGTI and everything along those lines, but IBM is already established, and that's why I really like this name, as well as Google's Willow as well. But they're not obviously correlated. But for AMD and IBM, I like that partnership, considering that we got new chips coming out from Lisa Su.
Yeah, absolutely, and those chips are going to get better and better. Exactly. Adira, what do you make of the story? Interesting here. First time I'm seeing HPC with quantum.
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly an interesting catalyst. It's not the first time we've seen some of these larger, companies get involved in that quantum space. We know we've got Microsoft and Google, and I believe also Amazon with some version of a chip here. But I think with as well, like the fact that we've got this semiconductor element too, with AMD have, they're in that chip space. They've also got the quantum side. We know Jensen Huang previously has been a little bit iffy on quantum, though he's walked back some of those comments. So the fact that one of his competitors, AMD, is actually getting involved in and embedded in the quantum space is, I think, a pretty interesting look. Now, in terms of like the market reaction, we know RGTI initially gapped down. I didn't find any catalyst. It could have just been, a little bit of, I don't know, I guess antipathy play with AMD, though they've since bounced. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how what this reaction comes through. I want to hear more from both AMD and IBM about this at their earnings reports. I think if they had some kind of event announcing it too, that would be ideal. AMD has their advancing AI events. Dr. Lisa Su, CEO of AMD, is a very compelling speaker. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know a ton about the quantum space, but I think it'd be a good opportunity for them to kind of get out there and give us more information.
Yeah, and they did announce an initial demonstration of the technology for later this year. Not too much is left of this year, so hopefully we'll get it sooner rather than later. Thank you, Adira. Let's go on to the next story. Trump warns of 200% tariffs on China if they don't get their act together with these rare earth magnet exports, specifically, obviously, to the United States. So President Trump threatened, as I mentioned, 200% tariffs on China if Beijing restricts exports of rare earth magnets, which are critical, obviously, for the United States industries. We're talking about automotive, electronics, renewable energy, the gauntlet. The U.S. relies heavily on these imports, with China controlling about 90% of the global supply and refining capacity. Both. They dominate both. That's crazy. Recent data shows China's exports have rebounded to the United States, we're talking about, with U.S.-bound shipments up 600% 160% in June versus May, and another 76% increase in July. The reason the numbers are so big is because there was a pause on exports of rare earths from China to the United States as a result of the trade war or trade discussions, let's call them that are happening between the two countries. But Boeing here increasingly being used as leverage by Donald Trump in his negotiations, specifically with China. Trump highlighted airplane parts as counter leverage to these magnets, noting 200 Chinese planes are grounded or were grounded when Boeing withheld parts over magnet disputes. Boeing is reportedly negotiating a potential 500 aircraft deal with China. It's really dependent, though, on how these negotiations go and the trade terms that are agreed to. Airplane sales are becoming a key bargaining chip in the ongoing trade truce. I guess that's what they're calling it now. Washington and Beijing, if you recall the trade truce, they struck a deal back in June, easing the restrictions of rare earths as well as U.S. tech shipments. The current truce expires in mid-November, Joey, and whether it upholds or it holds, it really depends on the continued diplomatic engagement. But you got this senior Chinese negotiator, Li Chenggang. He's scheduled to meet with U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, another guy we've been seeing a lot of the Treasury this week, which could set the stage, for higher level talks. We've been talking about a Xi-Trump meeting for a hot minute now.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the Americans are trying to use a lot of tools to leverage, but I think that the Chinese have them as well, too, in the likes of TikTok. So I think there's a lot from the negotiation standpoint. I'm curious to ask what that's going to do for our friend Jerome Powell's data prints that he's always so focused on. Those 200% tariffs can definitely give you a couple upticks. And then does he kind of change his plan on what he's doing? Because he has been data dependent for an extremely long time. But yeah, as for the tariffs, I don't think it's going to lead to that, considering that you've just mentioned that exports are up 666%. I think that's extremely important to note, but anything can happen. So anything can and will happen.
Yeah, and we definitely need to see some consistency here. If you're going to reshore the production process, no point in having these manufacturers and you can't get your hands on these rare earths.
And what is that going to do, obviously, when you implement these 200% tariffs? So what is that going to do for unemployment on both sides?
Oh, that's probably that.
Right?
You feel it's going to be highly temporary if that happens. But yeah, this is an interesting, development, Adara, in the back and forth, on again, off again, I should say, Trump, Xi bargaining thing. What's the look here?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that this is the first meeting on American soil. I think it'll be significant, whatever ends up happening there. I want to say, too, I like that you mentioned Boeing here being used as a bargaining chip, because we saw, again, the same thing with Korea, right? Korean Air with that Boeing deal. So I actually think, this could be, depending on how it plays out, a good or a bad thing for Boeing. I think if they continue to kind of try to strike these deals where countries end up buying more Boeing vehicles, then I think it's a really good look. I also think the other thing here is that Trump, regardless of his threat for that, as he said, quote, 200% tariffs or something, as for that threat, he said right after that he doesn't want to do that. So it sounds like they do want negotiations to go well. The tariff seems to be more of like a worst case scenario. So, I have highish hopes for these negotiations, and I think Trump does as well. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition, but I think this meeting in the U.S. is a great first step.
I got a feeling here, and I don't know if this feeling is justified or not, but I feel that the top negotiators strike a deal, but somewhere along, the chain of command, someone's not following instructions, because we keep hearing that, oh yeah, Chinese rare earths, they're back. You're going to be able to get your hands on them in the United States. And then we actually talk to the companies, and they're like, well, the regulator is still blocking it, even though it was agreed to at the highest levels. So this on again, off again thing, I feel is kind of being used by the Chinese as an ongoing chip in the negotiations, which leads me to my next point. Do you think if we continue to have these issues and Donald Trump actually slaps China with 200% tariffs because they're not actually exporting this, does that boost the local mineral extractors like your MP and others? Do they get a bit of a tailwind from that?
Yeah, I think it could potentially lead to a boost. But yeah, I think, like you said, it's hard even to tell because there's just so much back and forth. Like, it's hard to even predict what, the next step could be when we don't really even know what's happening, like, in the middle right now, right? And I honestly, sure, some of that might be China, but some of that also could be the U.S. because we know even what happened with Nvidia.
Yeah.
And Nvidia thought they were going to get those export licenses right away, and then there was some slowdown at the commerce compartment, right? Or commerce department, sorry. So I think, yeah, it could... I will say there are some things at home as well in the U.S. that could be contributing. But either way, yeah, I think it could be a bit of a boon for these U.S. companies for sure. with MP also, I mean, you already know the U.S. government's involved. That's a good look. They said they want to invest in more companies. So I honestly think those companies might win either way, given the fact that the U.S. government's already promised those investments.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not alone
Go
just
ahead,
the
Joey.
U.S., not the U.S. Mineral companies as well, too.
Everybody else.
What about you mean your closest trading partner at the end of the
waiting,
day,
man.
right? So if you're not striking a deal with China, or you're going to stop some 200% tariffs, well, why don't you just come a little bit north of the border, significantly easier to transport as well, too, and then start striking deals with Mr. Carney?
Yeah. We'll trade for food. Not going to happen, Sharif. And when that is even kind of resolved, chips will fly. All right. Sounds good, my man. Thank you for chiming in there. Always buy Sharif some pads. Sure. Thank you. Thank you for that as well. Let's go on to the next one here. Trump threatens tariffs and chip exports and threatening to ban exports over digital taxes. So let's get right to it. President Trump vowed to impose substantial new tariffs on exports from countries that enforce digital service tax. We were one of those companies, and you'll see that in a second, targeting specifically U.S. firms. In addition, Trump threatened to restrict U.S. chip exports to those countries, citing the need to protect highly protected technologies. We're talking about advanced AI chips as well, obviously. So here's the deal. The digital services tax basically is looking to take money from American companies who operate in other jurisdictions. So there are levies imposed by dozens of countries. We used to be one of them, designed to large multinational tech companies like your Metas, your Googles, your Amazon. Trump argues these rules discriminate against American technology by disproportionately attacking, yes, U.S.-based firms. Countries supporting the DSTs, they argue U.S. tech giants profit massively in their markets, but they pay little or no tax. So these digital services tax meant to capture some of that. And you'll see the Canadian case study here. In June, Trump threatened to cut off trade talks with Canada altogether over the upcoming digital service tax. Now, that wasn't actually put in by the current prime minister. It was the previous prime minister. And you can feel like the current prime minister just kind of let it go along as a bargaining chip, only to remove it later. The episode demonstrated Trump's willingness to use tariffs as a bargaining weapon in the trade disputes. But it's not all just, international. There is a domestic context here. Trump's stance aligns with bipartisan U.S. criticism for these digital services tax, with both Republicans and Democratic leaders kind of opposing these measures to tax these American companies. Trump, for his part, Joey, is leveraging this issue both for domestic political support and as a pressuring tool in the global trade negotiations. So kind of two birds with one stone.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that obviously Canada, we implemented the digital sales tax, but also in the EU too. I'm pretty sure Germany's slapping Meta with some 10%, even a little bit more of a digital sales tax. So, I mean, this is how I'm going to look at it, Sharif. So the government is like, hey, we're going to give Intel a bunch of money, but you're not going to get that money for free. We're going to have some stake within your company. And that's how I'm going to look at it. If you want to do business in a different country, I don't understand why there's such a big reason. I mean, I think it's right. So you're not just going to prance around and gain all this revenue and in this income within our country without paying some form of tax, considering the amount that the average person has to pay. So that's my opinion on that.
That's a good point, man.
I think it's justifiable.
So what do you think about it, Dara? Should they be paying some sort of, capital gains tax, something akin to what Canadian companies are paying, rather than a sales tax specifically for these digital tech companies?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it depends. Truthfully, this is something I want to know. I guess I want to learn a little bit more about or understand better. But I think either way, regardless, in terms of how I think it's going to play out, because I think, here, all we can kind of do is look at, what's happening. How can we go further? We know how Canada responded to this, right?
Yep.
They had the pressure, they pulled out. I think if Trump names countries specifically, he is very likely to pressure them to, to lift or remove that tax. And whether that's for good or bad, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think in terms of how this is going to play out, I suspect it'll be something similar to that. I do understand a little bit of the impulse, though, to have some type of tax. You know what I mean? I was trying to read some of the rationale behind it,
right,
with regards to companies like Amazon especially, and you kind of get it, right? They're having these large monopolistic practices. They're coming to other countries. To some extent, I understand. I wonder if there's some way to have one kind of universal reciprocal tax. Almost that might be a better way of doing it, but either way, I think like if they go country by country, I suspect everyone's gonna pull back. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
I hear what you're saying.
A story that super enthuses me.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I think that there does need to be some sort of capture because basically multi-billion-dollar companies, some a trillion, obviously. I don't want to say they should pay their fair share. That's kind of not my business, but there should be some sort of contribution if we're going to operate in a company, whether or not it ends up being a digital sales tax or some sort of, even playing field that applies to Canadian companies as well as American companies. I think that's where Donald is getting upset, is that you're targeting American tech companies specifically. I think if it was to target evenly, of wherever the destination of the company was from, I think that there shouldn't be a problem. I don't know how you feel about that,
Well,
Joey.
one thing I have to say is, do we have companies in other countries that are as widespread with regards to, I guess, their international birth and the people that they have, and B, that are worth that much, that are making that much, right? Like you could argue you've got Temu, Shein, they're maybe the closest, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like I think the reason that U.S. is getting targeted is not so much that U.S. is getting targeted, it's that the U.S. has companies that fall under that purview. So in that regard, I think viewing it as like an anti-U.S. thing is not necessarily fair.
Yeah, literally to what Adara said, just the fact that their consumer bases are so vast and they're everywhere across the globe, essentially, with the exception of Meta being not allowed in China, et cetera. But I think just to operate within a country, because I know if that was the other way around, most definitely Donald would be looking to implement something along those lines for a tax. So yeah, if you're going to come in here, come and step or kind of expand your consumer base, I think that considerably so, you should have to pay some form of a tax. That's just me personally, because I think that the Americans would do the exact same thing. They won't even allow Chinese vehicles in the country without a 100% tariff.
Neither will we.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the end of the day, how come you're not allowed? We're allowing you to operate. Now you're just asking for a small tax. And it's the exact same instance in what Donald's doing with the chips in China, the H20 and AMD. It's okay, fine. You can sell them to the Chinese, but guess what? We get 15-20%.
Easy.
So.
We got an ad?
Yeah, we do.
Let's do it. All right. I'm going to shout out Big Spout. A 200% tariff on my Supreme Super Buffet AAA lunch special will wreck my financial planning. Little Joey Smalls, what's your order? I'll let you answer that one
after the ad. In Africa, a new generation of leaders is rising. The woman boss empowers them. We provide the training and mentorship with women, girls needed to start business, create change, and build sustainable futures. We've already impacted over 10,000 lives. Your contribution creates the next opportunity. Scan the QR code, empower the next woman leader today. Adara, what do you got for us?
I have a bit of an interesting story here for Signet Jewelers, SIG. Big push to the upside, by far the largest volume candle it's had all day. Though not a ton of volume traded on the day so far, about 330,000 shares. Pop Crave reporting that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. That's right, this story sending SIG to the upside. What a world. Back to you.
Hey,
what is that? What is
Signet Jewelers? SIG, 87.82 high, back down to 87.54. Yeah, as Adara mentioned, not too much in volume. Did you want to respond to Big Spell, or should we go on to the
get obviously some chicken balls with the red sauce. What is it? Pepper steak beef. We want that, or onion pepper beef. We like that. Some lo mein, and that's probably it. That's all I really rock and roll when I'm there. And obviously a lot of red sauce. They got good red sauce.
The best sauce, bro. Let's go on and talk about Musk, XAI. They're suing Apple. They're suing OpenAI over what they're calling AI monopoly claims. So let's get to this. Elon Musk, vis-a-vis XAI, filed a federal lawsuit out in Texas against Apple and OpenAI. That'll be the second lawsuit against OpenAI that they've got, accusing them of conspiring to block competition in the artificial intelligence market. The complaint alleges Apple and OpenAI have locked up markets to maintain monopolies and prevent competitors like XAI's Grok app from gaining traction. XAI is seeking billions in damages, billions, baby, framing the case as a major antitrust battle. We're just scratching the surface here, so we'll find out exactly what the courts think about this. Apple, we all know, has integrated ChatGPT directly into the iOS vis-a-vis Siri, as well as iPadOS and macOS, giving it prime placement across its devices. Oh boy. XAI, for their part, they argue that without this exclusive deal, Apple would have no reason to suppress the visibility of rival apps like X and Grok in the App Store, which is the allegation that they're making. They're saying, we can't make it up all the way like OpenAI, who's the only AI app on Apple's must-have list in the App Store. Musk previously warned that Apple's strategy makes it impossible for any AI company besides OpenAI to reach #1 in the App Store. Again, we'll have to see what his evidence is for that. Now, legal experts, for their part, they say Apple's dominance in smartphones strengthens XAI's case, raising the issue of illegally tying between iPhone sales and ChatGPT integration. However, Apple's got its own argument. They say OpenAI deal happen in the normal course of business, and it's a competitive market, and we have no obligation to help the rivals of OpenAI. I mean, it's a free market. This could be a landmark test case for the U.S. courts in defining what the AI market actually means, as well as the antitrust process for the AI market. It could potentially set precedents for future disputes here, Joey. You got to like this because Musk never backs down from a battle, as we know.
Yeah.
And number two, though, I don't know have you used Grok?
No, I've never used it.
It's not bad. You're on X, so I figured that you'd be using it a lot more.
I've never used
it's not bad, but it's definitely not as refined in terms of product. I feel product, ChatGPT does the best. That doesn't mean it's the best LLM. I think that there's way better for other purposes. But in terms of like consumer-facing UI, definitely one of the best.
You know what I think this is?
What do you think?
This is just a little ego hunt. He's hurt. I think what Elon is, because considering that what Sam Altman is doing, for me personally, it's just like, okay, Elon, you have one of the best car companies, the most successful companies on the planet. You have Neuralink. You have everything. You have SpaceX and all this. Let other people have some things, in my opinion.
Big Spiles responding there to your
What do you say?
He wants to make sure that you see it there.
Oh my God, this guy. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, he's just continuously, I think he's crying about what Sam Altman's doing, and I think that because ChatGPT has been so successful, and they were obviously in partnership before, wants it open source, Sam wants to put it closed and head into the public markets. I just think that at the end of the day, Elon's, he's hurt. He's back hurt, man.
Who do you side more with here if you had to choose, Adara? Do you think Apple has a duty to help rivals, or is this a normal deal in the normal course of business?
I don't know if Apple has a duty to help others. I do think their response to this does actually kind of make Elon's point. Unfortunately, though, they're like, oh, well, we're invested. We don't need to help anybody else, which I think, honestly, if they hadn't said that, I would have been fully on their side. Now I'm like, this is a little like, you're trying to help out OpenAI, which makes sense, but I do understand the antitrust issues there. However, here I have a couple other reasons for why I think that Elon Musk doing this is a bit frivolous. For one, we do have the fact that DeepSeek was actually the #1 app on the App Store in January 2025, so Musk's claim is inherently incorrect. Right off, right there. Number two, if you just go to my screen for a second here, this fun little Musk v. Altman engagement. This all happened over basically 1 hour. But the reason I bring this up is because Elon Musk made an unsolicited bid for OpenAI. So how are you suing a company you also want to have an unsolicited bid? And all of this seems to be like, a long-winded way of Musk. As Joe said, partially, I do think it has to do with, he wants to, I guess, have his hand in every type of pie, but also he has this beef with Sam Altman. I think that might be clouding his judgment a little bit here too. That's my opinion. And I think, honestly, the fact that DeepSeek did reach the #1 spot, I think almost automatically negates his argument, and Apple probably only needed to see that and then just can the case right there. But I will say, it's worth noting, this came out intraday yesterday. I saw the story, I immediately went to check Apple stock. Apple stock did not care, so take that how you will.
So just to play devil's advocate, would DuckDuckGo have had a claim against Google? Would Bing have had a claim against Apple for preferring Google search over Microsoft's Bing? Would DuckDuckGo have had a claim? Would Yahoo have had a claim? And if they did, they waited, they still haven't filed a claim. So why does it change into search is one thing, but LLMs are another?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's actually a good point, and I actually think even the fact that they did not make this claim, or I guess that you know that, or even if they have, that it hasn't been taken seriously, I think that gives even more credence to the fact that Elon Musk getting upset over an LLM is even more trivial, in my opinion, more frivolous. I don't know. I think it's a good question. I want to think more on it. But the fact that if you're comparing like the magnitude, when you open your phone, what search comes up, right? It's Google. So I think that is such like I think that's automatically of more magnitude than like, oh, what's the #1 app on the App Store? What LLM are you using? You know what I mean? I think that automatically is the thing. I think also because Grok has embedded itself so heavily in the fabric of X, it makes a lot of sense. They're not going to have. Why, you know, it's honestly like you're if you had an X app, that'd be one thing, or an X phone, sorry. Like, you know, if they have their own branded phone, I'm not trying to give Elon ideas, but then that makes sense that you've got like, you know, your own Grok LLM built in, but it's so odd for an AI that is inherently like, you know, part of, almost the child of another app.
Right.
Like, you know, it's just, I don't really get what he's trying to say here.
Yeah, I respect that. I was going to ask you.
What if the roles were reversed here? Do you think that Elon would
give me a case scenario?
So say, what if Grok was actually on the top of the app list?
Right. And then OpenAI.
And OpenAI was. How do you think Elon would react to that? And we know that he does have his irrational spurts against Donald Trump. And when he sees red, it's hard to bring him back until someone's like, hey, you need to snap out of this. And I think this is one of the cases, the exact same. He's just mad because of what Sam Altman's doing, and that Apple has obviously GPT at the top of
and they've chosen GPT as, you know, the one that integrates here. Despite the fact that there have been so many rumors. Have we not heard of them wanting to buy Perplexity, working with Claude? We've heard even them about dealing with Grok. There was a rumor at one point that Grok was going to be part of the new Siri. So it's like we've heard everything under the
at the end of the day, also too, to add to Adair's point, he pulls Mark Zuck aside and says, "Hey, let's kind of let's build this thesis that we can kind of overtake ChatGPT." But then now a week later, he's like, "No, we're going to start suing Apple and GPT."
To be fair, and to be fair, I get why he's annoyed, because just because you're the best LLM doesn't mean you're going to be the most popular LLM.
Absolutely.
Right? Again, I really want to keep going back to that thing where I think OpenAI excels at consumer-facing product look, whereas maybe some others, like, look at this, Joey. Look at this widget over here that they put out. I can record. I can have interactions like with the voice here, pictures, or upload anything. It's like, it's super quick too. I'm not saying nobody else can do this.
It's compatible. It's easy to use on your phone. I have the exact same thing. After I seen you had that, I put it on, man. I was talking with it last night.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane how this thing works. And I think it's just, again, I think it's, if the roles were reversed, he wouldn't have the exact same case. He'd be fighting the total opposite party.
I got to agree with that. All right, guys, let's go on to the next story. Boeing, at least it was up in the pre-market, gains on Korean Air's $20 billion jet order. Let's talk about it. So where's Boeing's stock at right now? Let's take a gander. Is it down? Is it up? It's up almost a third, 2.29%. So it is up only 0.6% in the pre-market after Korean Air announced they're ordering 103 planes, including 20 777s, 25 787s, 50 737s, and then 8 777 firefighting jets, which is obviously a variant of the 777. The order is valued at roughly $20 billion at the list price, but we know negotiations typically result in a lower price as you're buying on bulk. Korean Air currently operates 108 Boeing jets to only about 50 Airbus jets, which shows, you know, the growing influence of Boeing and Korean Air's reliance on Boeing more than they rely on the European Airbus. GE Aerospace will also have a part to play in this deal. They're going to provide the engines for the planes. So the GE shares were flat, at least in the pre-market. I haven't had a look at what they're doing now. Korean Air CEO Walter Cho said the order is central to their fleet modernization strategy, marking a pivotal moment for the airline. But there has been a lot of drag, Joey. It's not like the fact that people don't want to buy these Boeing airplanes. Oh, they want to buy them. Boeing can't build them. Yeah. So global airline demand remains very strong. The airlines ordered about 700 planes from Boeing year to date through July. That's up from 230 airplanes ordered at this time last year. Boeing's backlog, though, remains very heavy. 6,000 planes still unfilled, equivalent to more than 10 years of production if you continue to produce at the current rates. How are they producing? What's their rate, Joey? Well, they're producing 78 787 MAX jets per month. That's the maximum they're allowed to produce by the FAA because they were using dish soap as lubricant on their airplanes. So the FAA had to get involved and be like, no, you guys are wilding. We need to get some control under you. So management aims to raise, though, that 38, Joey, up to 42 per month by the year end, underscoring the focus on efficiency and the faster delivery time.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is, because from a commercial airspace standpoint, Sharif, you only have really two competitors. That's going to be Airbus and Boeing. So for me, considering what they've been going through with the FAA, I don't know why this company can't get out of its own way. It's not like Intel where you have a customer and demand issue. Like you just mentioned, the backlog is through the roof, but they can't build these planes. And for some reason, I don't know. So what I heard before when I was reading up about it is that they need to incorporate the FAA within the company itself so they can start producing more of the planes.
That's actually brilliant,
right?
Bro. That's brilliant. If they actually had, but how would you keep the objectivity?
I don't know. I have no idea. That's beyond my scope, right? But that's what I heard, is that the FAA needs to be implemented into Boeing so they can start producing more of these planes.
Do you know that Boeing was governing itself? At one point, the FAA gave Boeing, their inspectors, the right to check on themselves.
And then that's when we went through all this. So that's what I'm saying. It needs to be into the FAA. The FAA needs to step into Boeing internally so they can start spinning these planes.
I think that's a really good idea. What would you say, don't look, Boeing is up year to date from January 1st on?
From January year to date?
Yeah, go.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go 13.5%.
Double it.
27%.
Add more.
35%? 35%? Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's not too bad.
From like we mentioned before, from a stock that just couldn't get out of its own way for such an extended period of time, and it's not like they have a mass amount of competitors.
No, they don't. It's one. It's Airbus mostly. Right. And then there's the Brazilian one, Embraer, which is trying to get a little bit bigger.
But from a market share standpoint, they still hold 90% of the commercial airspace.
Crazy.
So it's just like, what is going on here? Figure it out. And then sure enough, you can be an extremely profitable company, which they should be.
All right, Adara, I know you probably already had an opportunity to read this story. Boeing, big order coming in from Korean Air, but there's still a huge backlog on these airplanes. Adara, what do you make of the story?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in a way, like, Boeing seems to acknowledge the backlog and how it might be an issue. We know we heard, I think a couple hours ago during the midday, we had an individual from the FAA say in an interview that Boeing hasn't even applied to increase their 737 MAX production. So in a way, like, it's not a great sign that they're not trying to increase further, but maybe they're trying to work on this backlog, keep things moving at a steady pace. I think you can interpret that story both ways. Now, in terms of the Korean Air story, as you mentioned earlier, and as I seconded, I think Boeing is certainly going to be used as a bit of a bargaining chip when it comes to these deals, right? It makes a lot of sense. People need planes. It's a good way to, I guess, get on the U.S.'s good side and benefit Boeing. I think all in all, this is another win for my friend Kelly Wartburg, who right now, I think he's been with Boeing just over a year. He started August 8th, 2024. The stock has been up since he was initially, I guess, appointed or started, for lack of a better term. And yeah, I mean, I think the company's poised to benefit. I think as long as, no strikes, no using Dawn soap to deal with issues, hopefully no more crashes. I think Boeing is on a steady path. Hopefully that plane will start flying again to the upside.
These guys were using zip ties at one point.
Yeah, bro, it was crazy. What I really want to hear more about, and what I haven't heard more about, and I want to get your input on this too, Adara, Joey, I want to get your input as well. I want to hear more about the next gen of modern warfare, okay? I'm talking about drones, eVTOLs. That's what I want to hear a lot more too from Boeing, because you figure they've got the technical expertise to put these monster traditional legacy airplanes into the air. It stands to reason that if they scaled that down to smaller, aircraft, they could perform a lot better. So that's what I
sell more of them.
And sell more, and that's the future. You feel like that's the direction we're heading.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to hear more about that, and I haven't heard a peep. Have you?
No, I haven't heard anything. And to add to that point, Sharif, I think we're talking about drones and all this unmanned aircraft. What about when all these bots get into the warfare? Right? Like you have fleets of Optimuses going into war, and I think that's what it's definitely headed that way. There's no question.
Feels like Adara, I heard you've got breaking news.
Yeah, I just want to mention here, we have, sorry, I'm using the wrong button. We have BTV or Bloomberg TV interview with Fed's Barkin. Fed's Barkin saying that his forecast is for a modest adjustment in rates. Now, it's unclear when he thinks that's going to happen, but we know the Fed's been pretty split with regards to, if they feel that September is the right time for a rate cut or what the extent of that cut would be. Fed's Barkin, though, maybe calling for a modest cut here. We're going to have to wait and see the timing of that. But yeah, interesting stuff there with regards to the Fed.
Just give us your opinion on the lack of newer aircraft designs coming from Boeing. They're still really very much focused on that traditional fixed-wing aircraft era. We haven't heard anything, maybe you have, I haven't personally heard anything, about newer aircraft, newer generation. We know that they've got that B-47 contract for the next-gen bomber. Fantastic there, but we really haven't heard anything else. Have you heard anything, and what's your take on that?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, but honestly, you know the whole saying, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Boeing is broke. They have issues with their planes. So I would just say focus on fixing the planes you currently have before getting too hyped about new models. That's my opinion. Now, I guess they do have that new bomber coming out. I haven't heard too much about that, truthfully. But yeah, I think in terms of wanting new models, I think that a good place to start for Boeing is just producing steady, reliable versions of the existing models that are not using Dawn soap, etc.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're going to build something new. You can't even build what you have right now.
I get that. I respect that. That's actually a very good point. But at the same time, you always got to be thinking about tomorrow and where the market is headed.
Yeah,
right. And you don't want to be caught off guard either. So
especially
I'm
when
sure
you have a
they're
10-year backlog. You don't want to be
10-year. Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro. 10 years, 6,000 planes.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've exhausted the story. Let's go on to the next one. Eli Lilly's oral weight loss pill clears key trial milestone. Let's talk about it. So their oral GLP-1 or 4 Glipiron met primary goals at a late stage trial for patients with obesity and type 2 diabetes. It paves the way for that global regulatory filing. The results move the pill closer to approval as the needle-free alternative, kind of we're talking about, in the weight loss and the diabetes drug market, currently dominated by the costly weekly injections. We're talking about Wegovy, Ozempic. They're still king of the bunch right now. Eli Lilly does expect to launch the oral pill of the GLP-1s worldwide in 2026, with the CEO, David Ricks, confirming timing of around this time next year. Very interesting. So, September, August, late August of 2026, we're going to see an oral GLP-1, according to the CEO. Patients on the highest dose, how they do, lost about 10.5% of their body weight, which is on average 23 pounds over a 72-week period versus just 2.2% for the placebo group. And around 50% of the participants lost about 10% of their body weight, with 28.5% losing 15% or more of their body weight. There was also significant improvements in your blood sugar control, which is called the A1C, with 75% of the top dosed patients reaching what they call diabetic remission levels, which is an A1C of under around 6.5. The trial also showed improvements in cardiovascular risk factors. That's why my old man takes it, specifically for cardiovascular, supporting the use for broader health benefits. But there are side effects, baby. Get ready for them, especially in the gut. GI side effects were the most common. Nausea, about 36%. That one about 27%, vomiting about 23%, 10.6% of the high dose patients dropped out due to side effects, a higher rate than was seen in the injectable versions of this drug. That's another interesting observation there. Eli Lilly's pill, though, Joey, is not a peptide drug, meaning it absorbs more easily and avoids the fasting and the water requirements that Novo Nordisk's oral, which is called Rybelsus, and their oral Wegovy carry. So apparently, from a clinical level, it's more effective. Analysts see the pill as a viable competitor, especially with the manufacturing, the scalability issues, and the potential for lower pricing. Currently, you're paying about $1,000 a month, Joey, if you want to get on one of these injectable GLP-1s.
Yeah, I know. I've talked about cheaper alternatives about that. But as for the stock itself, Sharif, it's just been in this continuous downtrend since August of 2024. You've seen it try to establish and put in some new highs, but failed on every single attempt right here. And for these GLPs, the side effects are something that you really want to keep an eye out on for. There's better, cheaper alternatives that essentially the only side effect is where you get peckish and you get slightly tired afterwards. So go check that one out. It's significantly cheaper as well. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm referring to there. I'm not going to get involved into any of this. Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, you got the hims and hers, obviously the compounded one as well too, that they're continuing. That's the only advertisement that I'm seeing currently now on my Snapchat is this hims and hers, the cheaper version of this pill, the ingestible. And sure enough, I'm sure it's catching enough storm because they're spending a lot of money on it.
You're not taking any of these?
No, I'm not taking any of those, brother.
All right, Adara, what is the work here? You got $1,000 for these injectables. You got a better price point, but you also have less weight loss. So is a trade-off one that you would take if you were interested?
Yeah, I mean, I will mention this Eli Lilly a little bit. I had a trade on this, which I'll show in a second. But I want to talk here about just the fact that these weight loss drugs in general, regardless of the specifics, have exponentially helped Eli Lilly's revenue. Like, look at that revenue growth, 2022, 2023, 2024. That's, of course, driven by when we had this weight loss drug boom, right? So I think, obviously, if they can get an oral right, that's even better for a lot of different reasons, including cost and discomfort with needles. People don't want to be taking these injectables. But, you know, as we've mentioned, this can actually have implications beyond weight loss, too. So if they can find a way for more people to take the drug and hopefully be positively impacted by it, I think that's a good thing. With regards to the stock reaction, Eli Lilly's stock reacted positively to this. This is their second, I guess, time that we've seen data with regards to their oral weight loss pill. We know the first time it didn't react so well, and that was actually alongside a stellar earnings report. Now, I think this positions Lilly a bit better than Novo, because Novo, with every time they've had some kind of update with their alternative weight loss drug, CagriSema, the stock has tanked. So I actually think it's a good look for Lilly. I will briefly, you know, I did short this a little bit. I was out long later as well. But yeah, I mean, like the VWAP breakdown here, 713, that whole, I guess, low 710s level has been clear support for Eli Lilly from a technical perspective. That showed up a little bit, I guess, yesterday as well. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Lilly is really strong on this catalyst, even with a market that's been dilly-dallying a bit, and given the climate where Novo Nordisk has sold off every time it's announced results. So comparatively to the market and to Novo, I really like what Lilly's doing here.
Okay, so I'll ask you the question then. It's going to have a better price point, so it's going to be a bit less than $1,000 a month, but you're also going to lose less weight because it's not as effective as the injectables. Is that if you were interested in taking these, I'm not saying you are, is that a trade-off that you accept?
No, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to spend the money and just try to lose as much potential weight as
so you'd rather ante up for a little bit higher? I'm going to go in the injectables, and I'm going to do it right the first time. So hopefully that you don't have to take this for a longer duration, and then you learn healthy lifestyle living after the fact. So just get it done, do it properly if you're going to do it, and just try to shed as much. I like that. It gives you an idea. You got to assume, though, even though maybe, you know, Joseph Options, he's good with it, the injection's fine. A lot of people, they get super squeamish around needles.
Needles.
Yeah.
Totally. So if that's your case, right? If that's your case where you don't like needles, then by all means go and take the edible or whatever you want to call it.
Oral,
the oral pill. But for me,
go
ahead, Adara. But for me personally. Yeah, go ahead, Adara.
With regards to the question, because I didn't hear you very well, I still have Trump in the cabinet in my ear full blast. But yeah, I think honestly, like if it depending on how much cheaper it is, if you know you're spending like I guess exponentially less and the weight loss is comparable, I think it makes sense to go that route. But I mean, again, if you can afford it and you're cool with needles, why not? I don't know. I think the trade-off really, I think, depends on your personal situation and I guess how much weight you're willing to lose.
Like Adara, we saw like the compounding ones from hims and hers costing about $700 plus whatever tax that they're paying, and the actual branded one is $1,000. So you can see already you're paying, probably $12,000 a year if you're going branded, a little bit less if you were going with the compound, which we don't even know if they're going to be around for all that long before the FDA puts the kibosh on that. So that's why I was kind of asking: is the oral going to move the needle from a dollars and cents perspective? Because $1,000, Adara, that's more than a lot of people can afford.
Absolutely.
No,
I think so.
Very significant. I see what you mean. I think the compounded drugs, I think that'll be like a huge make it or break it. I think if we get those approved for sure, I think it'll be like probably a boon for people who can't afford these other drugs. But I think from a market perspective, because again, that's a large part of why we're here, right? I think from a market perspective, Lilly and Novo might suffer if that is the case.
Listen, if you're looking to spend on the cheaper version, the oral pill, I think you're in the realm of where you can afford to pay for the injectable as well too. Now, I think the question is, hey, are you scared of needles, or do you want to kind of cap your weight loss?
I mean, like, brother, if it's one's $500 a month, the other's $1,000. Like, that's a substantial amount.
It is, but I mean, but what I'm getting at is that I think you're in that 1% club where you're willing to pay $500 to pay for something to lose weight. Yep. Right? Because I think with $1,000, I mean, $500 is a substantial amount. That's my guy's old car insurance payment right there. So
used to be.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I specifically look at it. Is if you're in that camp where you can afford that, then I would go with the other one where if you're looking to shed more than 10%.
That. Bobby Axelrod, I am pre-diabetic. I use Mounjaro. The needle is inside the cylinder. No big deal. I hate needles. It injects and retracts on its own. You're lucky, Bobby. Well, I don't want to say you're lucky, but you're definitely in a better position than some of the other needles. This is a subcutaneous injection, meaning it just goes under the skin. If you had to take intramuscular needles, it'd be a lot worse. We do that every day at work, and it's a whole issue. Guys, newer traders, listen up. First month, it's free. That's right, we're waiving the fees so you can trade smarter, not harder, by upgrading to that lead experience where you're analyze, strategize. And then after that, hopefully you'll capitalize on their platform that has everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, and game-changing charts. And you can predict better with their backtesting tool. You get reliable, real-time data, global markets at the tips of your fingers. It's an all-in-one platform. Do not miss out. Execute your best trades now, ready and only if you're ready to elevate your trading. Scan that QR code or check the link in the description. Shout out to the great folks at easy. Yeah, you almost had me there.
Let me touch on, before we go to that next comic, guys, look at Microsoft go here, continuous selling, and then Meta also selling. We got that pullback in Apple towards VWAP, would help sell off the overall market, and then this is what we're trying to do here. We enter, we add when we told you guys we're going to, we get the add, we get the retest of that specific level, we add some there, and then we get another failed new high, and then I add a little bit more there. So 3 adds into the original position, and then now looking for the break of the volume weighted average price, but I believe I have to play this one cool. Potential stopping volume on Microsoft, what can be dangerous, and Apple is also holding the volume weighted average price relatively well. So, but multiple ads, getting aggressive on this one, looking for the break of key levels.
Good there, Joey. Good short. All right, let's talk about the crypto market and the sell-off that deepened amid the macro uncertainty. It's a whole lot to say. Leading cryptocurrencies dropped sharply. You had BTC losing 110,000 momentarily. ETH was at 4,300. Over $900 million in crypto positions were liquidated within 24 hours, highlighting kind of the risk-off sentiment, at least for the moment. Flash crash dragged coins lower as well. You had Solana and Doge both down more than 8%, while XRP slid about 7%. Bitcoin's dominance in the overall crypto market, 57.9%, while ETH slipped to about 14%. Not a bad look. U.S. stocks erased Friday's rally after Fed Chair Jerome Powell suggested future rate cuts are possible but not guaranteed. Despite the broader downturn, though, you had Tether Gold up 0.3%. You had Pax Gold. These are obviously gold pegged stablecoins, up 0.25. They gained modestly after the safe haven plays were basically the area where investors were running to. But the ETH accumulation here, this is kind of what got my attention. So blockchain analysis from Santiment noted that ETH's recent 6-day outflow streak from exchanges, the longest present, I guess, since March 2024, signals accumulation, according to this article, by long-term holders. They say ETH whale wallets, surged movement and inflows, suggesting institutional positioning for a rebound. And analysts here are arguing that this could push ETH back towards that $5,000 level, providing macro headwinds as macro headwinds stabilize. And Binance whales, I didn't read this before, Binance whales have been buying ETH aggressively, apparently, Joey, reinforcing that, accumulation thesis that's being touted right now. What's your look?
As for the crypto space, I mentioned this before, and I was also reading last night as well too. There's a lot of long liquidations. I believe like 300 million in the Ether space. But at the end of the day, it's just I'm leading towards the point of what I referenced earlier. Is that are we starting to rotate out of Bitcoin and into Ethereum, considering the actual use case of the blockchain now? I think that's something that's really important to note. But for me, it's all noise. It's all short-term noise, Sharif. Because why? JPM's building on the blockchain. Robinhood's looking to tokenize on the blockchain. Should I go on? I can't anymore because there's continuous and endless names of what's going on. This is a fundamental change in what we're experiencing with the tokenization of everything. They might want to put some fear in you, but at the end of the day, I think it's continuous appreciation, and especially in some names like Ethereum, if you have the biggest, largest bank on the planet with Project Crypto as well, too, looking to head everything onto the Ethereum and the Solana blockchain.
Absolutely, and the staking, you always mention staking.
It's the yield.
I didn't really understand what it was until I did a deep dive to kind of understand that you get a yield on allowing your ETH to be used.
It's just validating transactions at the end of the day, right? So it's just like, okay, the more Ethereum you have, the more eligible the more transactions you can validate, and then that's why you have the likes of Bitmine Immersion just grabbing this stuff hand over fist. You have the company that I was talking to you guys about, Ether Machine as well too, doing the exact same thing. And what do you think JPM is going to do if they're going to look to put their stable coin on Ethereum?
Exactly.
Exact same thing.
I want to mention one quick thing before we get a Dara's take on this, and I'm interested to hear what she has to say. But Tom Lee, as I mentioned, was on the compound, and he was talking up. Obviously, he's on the board of Bitmine, BMNR. Apparently, they have $1 million in debt on their balance sheet. All the other money that they've used to buy ETH with has all been equity, and apparently they're likely going to raise again a secondary, and apparently your friend Cathie Wood and some other institutional-like people are interested in that secondary.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
$1 million in debt.
That's
everything
insane.
other equity.
They could do whatever. That's the thing.
You're going to double-check that, though, guys.
If to add to your point there, Sharif, just the yield from the Bitcoin or from the Ethereum that they already own is over $100 million in net income just from the yield alone.
Just from the staking.
Just from the staking alone. Just from validating the chain, validating transactions.
Bang.
I think there's so much room for this to run. And as for our guy, Tom Lee, how many times has he said that Ethereum's essentially undervalued?
He's saying it a lot.
Countless.
So have you, though, to give you credit as well. So, Adara, this is interesting. I don't know if you had an opportunity to listen to the compound. I know sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. This was an interesting take from Tom Lee on ETH. What's your look?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, it's really hard for me to hear what you guys are saying with Trump talking and also what's happening there with the construction and such.
It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think Ethereum versus Bitcoin right now, I talked about it during our crypto segment, I think Ethereum is a bit better poised because we're still on like a noticeable uptrend on the daily chart, at least as of a couple hours ago. I haven't checked since, but we were actually green on the day and we're still making these higher highs, higher lows. So I think, if we break that 5,000 level, I don't think it's a bad look at all. I need to go watch that podcast, that compound episode for sure. But I quickly want to talk about Nvidia, which is not related to crypto, but it does have a bit of news here. So Nvidia announcing as of a couple minutes ago on X that Disney, Foxconn, Hitachi, Hyundai, Eli Lilly, SAP, and Taiwan Semi are amongst the first customers to adopt their RTX Pro servers. So Nvidia announcing some heavy hitters with their new RTX Pro servers ahead of their earnings report tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, in terms of crypto, though, I think it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to be watching Bitcoin more closely here now because I think Ethereum has proven that A, we're near all-time highs, and B, we're trying to make that trek back to the upside. Now, Bitcoin's not far from all-time highs either, but the way it's declined from its all-time highs is distinctly different from what we're seeing with Ethereum. Yeah, I want to see, especially with the fact that our most recent all-time high compared to the one before that it wasn't like that ginormous climb, right? It was just like a little
spike
over 1,000 higher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think unless it takes 125,000 pretty soon, things could maybe get dicey here.
All right.
Sorry, I want to add one more thing because our friend Rusty Dutch had something valuable.
Sure, let's hear it
in the chat. Where I had it here. So Ether doesn't have a fixed max supply. So how can anyone say it's undervalued? Well, listen to this. Well, when you're validating and when you're using transactions on the Ethereum blockchain, you have your gas fees and then there's a burn rate as well too. So to say that there isn't a fixed amount, there's a burn rate. So they're burning Ether as you're putting transactions and validating those. And then the gas fees is essentially the yield that individuals like the corporations like Bitmine Immersion is collecting, is those gas fees for those. So there is a burn rate. So there's not like there's an infinite amount of it.
Yeah, but just I want to bring it back to a second. So if you were thinking to employ the same strategy that Michael Saylor is with strategy, or what formerly known as MicroStrategy, everyone doesn't know the name change. The idea behind that was to accumulate a finite asset. And that was the point, to be the holder, the biggest holder of that finite asset. So if you're thinking of BMNR as the exact carbon copy of MSTR, but in ETH world, I would say do a bit more research, because I don't think that that's what they want. They're not doing that. It's not finite. We know ETH is not finite. There's going to be there can be more printed. So it's not like there is a maximum amount of coins, and that's the strategy here. We have a limited asset that we want to get our hands on, so that we can kind of dictate the market.
Absolutely.
No, that's not the move BMNR is doing. I'm not involved in. Are you
in BMNR? No,
we're not.
I'm not.
So we just want to make that very clear.
Not at all. So my point to that would be. It's the yield at the end of the day, right? So it's what they can generate from that yield. You can't do that with Bitcoin, right? So I get it. There's a fixed amount, but other than that, we haven't found a specific yet. And I want to put in the keyword yet for Bitcoin. It's the fact that we've found a use case for Ethereum. One of the largest use cases, I think, in the whole crypto space, instead of something just being necessarily a store of value. I get it that there's a limited amount, but what can you essentially do with your Bitcoin?
Yeah, you can just hold it.
You can just hold it. Like, you can just hold it. Obviously, there's like the underground spaces where you can pay for things like that.
You do a bunch
of
stuff
the Silk Road back.
And
but it's not as publicized as what Ethereum. There's more regulatory clarity on what you can do within Ethereum's blockchain than what we can experience. With Bitcoin, as soon as you have the eligibility to start paying in Satoshis, then by all means, that's a game changer. You go to the store, you see the dollar amount, and beside it says Satoshi amount. Boom, game changer, it's over with. It's done and over with. This thing is worth, I don't even know how much, probably multis and multi-millions worth of dollars per coin, but that's not what we have right now.
All right, let's go on to the next story, baby. We got Interactive Brokers. My brokerage, Joseph's brokerage, a lot of people's brokerages. They're going to get added to the S&P 500, and we'll tell you more about that when we get back from Adara with breaking news.
Sorry to interrupt here, guys. Keep an eye on RR. Actually, Sharif, this might be a stock you're interested in, too. It is on the smaller side. Rich Tech Robotics here announcing a new robot. They're going to be apparently debuting this at NVIDIA GTC conference in Washington from October 27th to 29th. So RR, nice pop here.
Adara looks fantastic. Keep your eye out on that one, up 20%. Interactive Brokers being added to the S&P 500. It's going to start at Thursday's open. So this Thursday, so a couple of days, it's going to replace Walgreen Boots Alliance, WBA, the ticker, which is being taken private, as we know, by Sycamore Partners. IBKR's inclusion really does highlight the growing importance of digital brokers in the U.S. financial markets, while legacy players like Walgreens, they're exiting the spotlight, so to speak. We'll see how they do. Interactive Brokers shares spiked. Let's see where they are. I don't know where they are right now. Let's just find out super quick. We're a flat, up 0.08, but they were up as high as 5% in the pre-market, or in the aftermarket, yesterday when the story broke. The stock has over doubled, though, in the past 12 months and is up 42% year to date, showing strong momentum. The index additions, though, just in and of themselves, forget about the company, index additions, meaning being added to the S&P 500, they often drive additional buying of the stock that's being added, as passive funds and ETFs the S&P 500 have to add it into their portfolio as well. So this is actually a trade that we have here on the floor called an addition and deletion. This one would obviously be an addition, and Walgreen Boots Alliance would be a deletion. So you can go and do your research on that and kill it on that trade. Robinhood shares slipped slightly, though. Why are we talking about Robinhood? Because they're directly competing with IBKR. In fact, they've been talked about as one of the possible companies to get into the S&P 500. And with a 190% bump year to date and a market cap approaching 100 billion, it was passed over on this round. And a lot of people were wondering why. It looks like IBKR got the nod before Hood does. And just so you understand, IBKR is actually coming out of the S&P mid-cap 400, so there's a deletion there. And then there's going to be an addition onto that if you want to trade that. It's going to be Talon Energy, TLNE. That's going to replace IBKR in the S&P 400 mid-cap, Joey. So I was just explaining to them additions and deletions and stuff like that.
As for IBKR getting added to the S&P 500, I think that's a fantastic look. I mean, we go back to their previous earnings reports. It's similar to what we're experiencing in Robinhood, Sharif. Now we're starting to get those event contracts that we mentioned, but it's just the transaction fees. And where are a lot of these transaction fees coming from? Well, guess what? It's one of my favorite derivatives, and that's options, because they're a little bit more expensive to trade. Previous quarter, Q1, Q2, great numbers from obviously new accounts, subscribers, but then it's also the transactions and options activity that we both seen grow in the likes of Robinhood and in Interactive Brokers, and that's why I like it. So more traders starting to adopt the options, and they're more expensive transaction-wise.
Adara, IBKR over Hood or Hood over IBKR?
I mean, we're not talking about another name that's been heavily rumored to be added for quite some time, not in the same space, but I think, we have to talk about AppLovin. AppLovin has a market cap of over $100 billion, and since November of last year, they've been in talks to maybe be added to the index. Once again, they got shunted, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the actual IBKR versus Hood conversation, I don't use either. I've considered looking into IBKR. Yeah, I think honestly, like some of the decisions that have been made this year with regards to the index are pretty interesting. I have up here part 4 of an infographic series. I haven't posted this one yet, so you guys are getting a sneak peek. I mentioned this earlier as well. But like this year so far, we've already had 5 mid-quarter or M&A related rebalances to the S&P 500. Interactive Brokers, I guess not really M&A, but you are seeing, one company leave mid-quarter, Interactive Brokers getting added. I think with that in mind, though, with this M&A culture changing, that means you have more opportunities for, as you said, Sharif, some turnover in the index. Some of these older, more dated companies, more classic companies, for lack of a better term, getting out, and these companies in new spaces coming in. And you see that with the ads we've had this year. Coinbase, Block, and now IBKR in the fintech space. Then in like the other technology space, you've got TTD and Datadog. Now what's interesting is both AppLovin and Robinhood, which again are the 2 top companies that have not yet been added to the index, they kind of fall into both of these spaces. So I think in terms of the next upcoming rebalances here for the index, you're either going to get the next 2 quarterly rebalances, or whenever Dayforce steps out and we get someone else coming in there, I think you're probably going to see one of those 2. But yeah, I think it makes sense that Robinhood's getting a bit hit harder than AppLovin here, because you're right, they are a direct competitor to IBKR. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I was a little shocked by the IBKR ad, especially because they were just recently added, I believe earlier this year, to the mid-cap 400s. They made quite the ascension. Really quickly, too, I want to talk about this. Your friend Lena Khan stars in this infographic as well. Yeah, I mean, I think you can really see here versus 2025 already. You've had now almost 5 additions here to the index. 2023 and 2024 were pretty barren when it comes to these M&A related moves. So yeah, I think maybe with this new chair of the FTC, I believe his name is Andrew Ferguson, we might continue to see more of this M&A approval and more of the switch up in the index, and hopefully more modernization.
Yeah, great point there, Dara. Thank you for that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask me the question.
Do you think that Hood got the shaft here because of their association with the meme stock craze in exchange for IBKR?
I think so, right?
Think so? They're still paying the price for that?
Yeah, I think so. Just because of the gamification behind Hood itself, right? I think just considering everything that went on with GameStop and AMC, I think that has a little bit of an influence, even though that's in the past now.
But they still have the same stuff. Like we talked about this, you and I, multiple times.
Yeah.
IBKR can't stop pushing the, what are they calling it?
The event contracts.
Event contracts onto us. Every time you open up the platform, they're pushing the event contracts in your face. That's basically betting on random stuff. Joey, the market's tanking. I think Adara might have news for us, so let's throw it up.
Throw it up to Adara.
I'm not sure if this is why we're moving the way we are, but I will mention Scott Bessent just made some comments during this cabinet meeting. He said that he believes there will be a sharp increase here, or he said a tariff revenue jump coming into September. So I guess they're expecting these tariff revenues to continue to pour in. That could be what it is. Also not related to this drop, but Scott Bessent did say as well he sees CapEx continuing to hit records. So he thinks CapEx is going to continue, but also they're thinking they're going to see an increase in tariff revenue coming into next month.
It's been record month after record month. I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping track, but every time I hear, it's like, we're bringing out a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go on to the next story unless you have anything to say, because we only have a few minutes left.
Yeah, I was going to say with Hood, and I think, when did Hood IPO? Like, IBKR has been in the game significantly longer than
I don't know when they IPO'd,
yeah.
but I remember that they've been around since the pandemic.
The thing, but it's still relatively new compared to what IBKR,
goodness,
yeah, right?
So
yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next story here. This is interesting. We've been talking about the intersection of AI and robotics for a long time, and that's the future. Well, your boy Nvidia, or your boy Jensen at Nvidia, just launched the Jetson. Yes, Nvidia announced that its new Jetson AGX Thor robotics chip is now available, as a developer kit priced at about $3,500, with first shipments expected next month, so right around the corner. Once prototyping is complete, according to the company, production for T5000 models, I love the naming there, will be available at about $3,000 a pop if you order more than 1,000 of them. So economies of scale there. The company markets the Thor chip as a robot brain designed to power advanced robotics. It also comes in a small packaging. If you've seen the pictures, it can easily fit onto a droid body. The Jetson Thor, Joey, is 7.5 times faster than NVIDIA's previous generation of robotics chips, so nice leap there. It's built on the Blackwell GPU architecture, the chip that can handle generative AI models. It can do large language models. It can do even vision-based AI, which is obviously very critical for a humanoid robot and autonomous systems. Comes with 128 gigs of RAM, and it's able to run large AI workloads in real time. CEO Jensen Huang has called robotics NVIDIA's largest growth opportunity outside, obviously, your traditional data centers, while robotics currently accounts for just 1% of the revenue. The business is expanding rapido.
Yeah, absolutely rapido, amigo. So I think that one thing that he noted, that it's 1% and can potentially grow as well too. I think it's the autonomy sector that can continuously grow within NVIDIA as well too, because they're supplying chips. And I mentioned the amount of data that is required in order to in 20 minutes of full self-driving. So I think that's something extremely positive, and that's what we're leading to: is who's going to lead, who's going to win this robotics race. Is there going to be one specific one? No, but there can be abundance of individuals, and NVIDIA is starting to just definitely ramp that up for sure.
Adira, have you seen that Riz bot? It's called Riz, like the kids, Riz. Walking around the streets of LA just shafting everybody, Adira.
No, I haven't seen that, honestly. Yeah, I think with regards, I like that the name is Jetson for the NVIDIA bot. Just kind of talk about this one a little bit, because I have to look up this Riz bot, I must say. Yeah, I think like Jetson, other than the fact that it's very close to Jensen, which I'm sure, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, it is, you know, you get the whole George Jetson vibes, the futurism. I think it's cool. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I think with NVIDIA, it's a little bit hard to talk about this while ignoring the earnings report tomorrow. I think certainly that'll be on watch. And I think today, NVIDIA is really trying to gear you up for this earnings report. Like, they've been posting, they've been incredibly active on their X account throughout the day, which they aren't always. They already bragged about all the people on their new RTX Pro servers, including Eli Lilly, Disney, Foxconn, and TSM. So sometimes, like, what you'll see with these announcements that come right before the earnings report, they can kind of almost try to pad the market to be like, hey, look at all these other things we're doing, when they give a report that's maybe not as good as you want. So that's the one concern I have here with all these NVIDIA announcements heading into earnings. Netflix and Disney have both done this before, where they announce all these awesome things and then the report is not as good.
And make sure to catch that with us. It'll be Adira, myself, and Sean on the Market Recap Show tomorrow. We're going to be covering that NVIDIA watch party. But this is Rizbot, guys. So this is walking around the streets of LA. He makes fun of you. He laughs in your face. He has these jokes. And obviously he's quite whimsical with that cowboy hat. And he's got, you can't see it in this picture, but he has like a guide or whatever, a safety guide that walks behind him with, you know, all the different, I guess, you know, controls and
Tyson
whatever.
App bought one of those, and then
Rizbot?
Yeah, well, like the same model, and then you just abused it.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
Did he do it on one of his streams?
Yeah. You'll find it all over his streams. He owned it for a while. And
there you go.
Beat it up for a while.
So we're seeing more of this. We saw this in China as well. We saw the robot wars, right? Like there was a robot games or whatever. So we're going to see a lot more of this.
It's early
the next
stages.
level.
Early stages of everything. I think we're just kind of still in that rotary phone-esque kind of era of
feels like it though, right? But getting better every. You got to assume that the increases in this kind of space are not going to be linear. They're going to be kind of logarithmic.
It's going to go
It's going to be like boom, boom, exactly.
Boom, boom. Things are going to start flying off the shelf. eventually.
All right, guys, we couldn't get through all the stories today, but Joseph Wilson, go show.
Yeah,
them.
one last thing before we send it off to the big boys to the right of us. Screen, please. This is the TQ short. This is what we were talking about earlier. Still holding on to more than half of the position, or right around half of it. So yeah, that's been working out. Let's see if we can head towards this low again today, because Nvidia is starting to rebound. Microsoft has been extremely weak, and Apple looks like it wants to break out as well too. So that's what we got going on.
All right, guys, big boys are that way. Obi in for Neil. I'll see everybody shortly on the big desk. Joseph and I, same bat time, same bat channel. Peace.